They think that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, I'm here. Who wants to fight with me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
Welcome to Bodywork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. How y'all doing out there, man? It's another lovely evening to be able to talk about our beautiful sport. Are we at all pleased where it is today? No, but just like anything, any relationship you in, anything, you gotta find a way to keep falling back in love and, you know, and be creative to create that spark and stay interested and keep your juices flowing and all of that good stuff. So this is gonna be one of them episodes, man. And for those who like to stay on the beaten path, hate to let you down, but we're gonna get off of that. Boxing is evolving and there's conversations to be had, and there are young people that are willing and waiting to pretty much proceed with the torch if you would allow them to, if you give them the push, if you give them the encouragement, if you step outside of the masses and say what need to be said so that our sport can thrive. Because I don't know, man, right now, you know, it started with our heavyweight division. We've been down bad in the heavyweight division. We've been yearning, you know, ever since Earl, you know, suffered the loss to Bud. The welterweight division been trash. So we've been looking for stars. A couple people were putting their name in the hats. They trying to do their thing, you know, they're trying to create it. But like right now, the precursor to what this episode is all about is that he who controls the printed page controls the thinking of this age, is what I always tend to say. So if you listen to them, you'll be steered the wrong way. But Bodywork is here to save the day. You know, we're gonna highlight some people who, you know, if you allow fans to do what they do, and these people that create content in the media and everybody that's getting a turkey check and looking for a Zuffa bag, or you know, they need a sugar daddy, you know, then you get misled. So we're gonna talk about some people today, and that's gonna be the meat and potatoes. And just in typical normal fashion, what I always tend to do is, man, we're gonna get into the housekeeping, man. I'm not gonna go on no long, luxurious rant, you know, but I always say, man, you can't gaslight me, I'm already lit. And gaslighting is when somebody questions your sound logic and reasoning, often playing on your memory, playing on what your own eyes see. And I say, man, if you just get online and you just be yourself, right? And if you just, that same critical thinking skills, the same things you use out there in the workforce, in your relationships, you know, out here in the real world, if you just bring that online with you, right? And you just be yourself and you just say what you see, we'll be all right. But politics is taking over, and I'm always going to fight up against that, because I always say silence is consent, which means all it takes for evil to prevail is for men and women to remain silent. So we got to speak to the things that need to be spoken to in the sport of boxing, and there's very few people out here that's willing to do that. You know what I'm saying? And I always support them, encourage them, you know, chime in on them, and I enjoy listening to them because I know that they are not compromised. With no further ado, man, let me go ahead and get into the housekeeping. And salute to Quee. Good to see you. Cookie Monster. Bodywork. Laney Barnes. What's going on? Salute. Cookie Monster say, mic check, 1 2 1 2, sounding crystal clear. That's what I like to hear. I appreciate you as always. But let's get into the housekeeping real quick so we can get into the meat and potatoes and have a good cook. And I will put the link out there. I promise you my mute button is broke. If you try to troll me, all I'm gonna do is make you look stupid. And you're gonna gracefully bow out. But I promise I'm not gonna mute you unless you do something detrimental to the show. You know? Ready for the cook. I feel you. I'm about to get right into it. Let me get this housekeeping up. Number 1, Frank the Ghost Martin signing paperwork. You know, all I know is I seen the guy. I don't know many details about it, but all I know is I seen him sitting down with the same gentleman that's, I believe he's with Fighters First. He was the same guy that was behind Earl, the same guy that was, you know, behind Brian Norman Jr. And I seen the Ghost with the shades, you know, looking, you know what I'm saying, dapper with the shades, looking, you know, had a smile on his face. So I know he, you know, he was looking at some zeros and some opportunities, you know what I'm saying, to cash in and also continue on whatever path it is that he's on. So I'm excited about that. You know, Frank Martin, it seemed like after the Tank fight, he went and took his little hiatus, you know what I'm saying? He ducked off, and I'm like, man, he's already an older gentleman, but I always liked Frank. I used to do a lot of content on Frank, you know, and, you know, when it came to him and Tank, you know, I had my pick. Everybody know who I picked in that one, but I was always a fan of Frank Martin. And when he came back, he did what he did to Barthélemy. I was like, okay. And then he came back and didn't look as good against Albright that he did against Barthélemy, but he wound up getting a draw. I believe they got a draw on that one. And Albright, he was on the verge of doing something wild if he wouldn't have, you know, spit out his mouthpiece. You know, but nevertheless, you know, they wind up giving a draw. I'm not gonna kick and scream about that, but Frank Martin, man, he's doing what we encourage all these guys to do, man. You suffer any kind of adversity, you know, take your little break, you know, go on vacation, enjoy the fruits of your labor and get right back in the saddle. Inactivity is the bane of every boxer's existence, along with alcohol. You know what I'm saying? Let me just put that disclaimer. Along with alcohol, but inactivity, man, is the worst thing. So it's good to see Frank Martin back in the saddle. The guy who he rocked with, Earl Spence, he's getting back in the saddle against Tim Tszyu. I got my fingers crossed. So I'm glad to see two of my guys that I actually rock with in the sport getting back to doing what they do. So I'm excited about that. Number two, Ernesto Tito Mercado signed to DMG. I don't know much about DMG, but I'm like, I'm trying to put 1 and 1 together. And I'm hoping that 1 + 1 = 2. But I'm seeing Frank Martin signing some paperwork with Fighters First. I'm seeing Tito Mercado sign some paperwork with DMG. And I'm like, does something be on the horizon? Because remember, Tito Mercado went up over there on Frank Martin, was like, what's up? I've been trying to get that smoke. And Frank was like, hold on, listen, man, I got business to handle, but sure, we could do it. And they shook on it. Unlike, unlike the guy that we're not really going to try to name today, he actually shook on it. So I'm like, I'm not jumping to no conclusions, and I often wish, I'm a dreamer, I'm a dreamer of some sort. So it's just glad to see that Tito, because I was concerned about Tito, he signed over there with Matchroom, and Tito, he's one of the best kept secrets in boxing. And since these two guys are in the 140 division, which happens to be my division, the most competitive division in boxing, I can run it down. That and 154, the two most competitive divisions in boxing. But if you notice, don't take Bodywork word for it. If you notice, it's a lot of people that come up in 140 and they slide on up out of there. Why? You can tell by how the belts get exchanged. You can tell by how when Devin got smacked by Ryan, he wasn't in no hurry to get back in there and fight Puello. He didn't want to fight Sandor Martin. Them two guys, Puello and Sandor Martin, could easily be, if you watch their fights, they could easily be undefeated, depending on who the judges were. It was always been a lot of smoke at 140, and I know that Tito, he's been fighting a lot of these guys after these other guys, but guess what he's been doing? He's been knocking them out. You know what I'm saying? He's a young guy. He has amateur experience. He had history with all these guys, Shakur, Keyshawn, all of these guys. He was in the amateurs at the same time. It's just right now he's very high risk, very low reward. It was even a point in time, when he actually stopped, I think that was Pedraza. Yeah, I think that was, I think that was Pedraza. When he sniped Pedraza, he actually said, man, I know this B right here, neither one of these B's right here fight me, because guess what? Shakur and Keyshawn was at the fight. He didn't care. He been calling for him, man. He been saying I'm bad stylistic. I'll take whatever they give me. If they send it over there to me, I'm going to sign it. And everybody's like playing bodyguard for them and not saying that they need to do it. But eventually, he's creeping up in the rankings. He's been doing what he need to do. And it would be if you think we got something this past weekend with O'Shaquie Foster and Ray Ford, if you think that was a banger, I don't think that was fight of the year. I'm not going to say that was fight of the year. It was a good fight. But if the Ghost and Tito Mercado would have crossed paths and get in the ring, I'm almost guaranteeing somebody going to sleep. Somebody is going to sleep in that fight. Ain't nobody going to be, they not going to be standing around posing. You could say it's going to be chess and all that, but somebody's going to try to figure out a way to end the show. They don't come in there trying to play pity pat and fence and trying to see if I could I touched you right there in your chest, I touched your belly button. They not doing none of that. They coming in there try to throw them hands and they trying to hurt people. Like I don't like safety first fighters. I like those guys who like to let their hands go and not afraid to do it. And they can actually make adjustments. And I think that them two guys, I think that the higher the level of the competition, the better they fight. Because if you look at the performance with Frank Martin, even though you could say it might have been a little ring rust with Albright, and look at the level of competition, but then look at how he fought Tank. In my opinion, that was one of Tank's toughest fights until he figured it out. Like when you look at what Frank, like he had me on my edge of my seat, like, oh shit. And Tank tend to do that. Yeah, he do that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, the way he fought Tank, he fought him way better than what he fought Albright, in my opinion. So I think he is one of them guys to wear. Because look at what he did with Michelle Rivera. When everybody thought that Michelle Rivera was the next Ali who could box, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, who could box, right? Frank actually outboxed and dropped him, and guess what? Michelle Ali Rivera had popped hot. That wasn't an excuse for Frank Martin. He still dusted his boots. Frank Martin also beat Virgil Ortiz in the amateurs. And Frank Martin got a decent resume. If you look at it, he beat Antuanne before Shakur fought him. Fun fact, handily dropped him in everything. But I'm proud for them guys, man. We need guys like that. And American boxing right now is really hurting, for some fresh blood. These are not fresh bloods, but they're off the beaten path. And I don't believe that they're gonna act like divas once they get a strap. I don't really believe so. So it's only a matter of time, and with everybody tiptoeing all up through 140, not really trying to get none of that real smoke. You see what Keyshawn doing? He fought Jermaine Ortiz. He got a Nair Albright who just really went up to 140. He didn't fought at 40 before, but nobody really considered him one of the who's who at 140. And now he's just trying to jump right up there. But when you mention him with certain names, it's like, oh, he's not ready. He only got like 13 fights. It's like people pick and choose. But if you notice the pattern, everybody is tiptoeing up and through 140. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't take my word for it. Just read the tea leaves. Do your research. And lastly, I'm going to say this, y'all. Frontline, Bodywork. Salute Frontline, facts. Please say facts. Appreciate that. Lastly, man, it's a pet peeve of mine, man, and I'm trying not to get on so many rants, because that's why sometimes I take my breaks and I say, you know what, I'm gonna get back to being as consistent as I used to be, where I was coming on like every other day, coming on at least 4 times a week, right? But sometimes I gotta take a break, because I'm a realist, man, and I try not to get on here and let this and just rant, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to do that, because they gonna, I don't know, man. I really don't care what people think in particular, but I do care that I'm actually putting some fresh water back in, because there's a lot of foolishness going on. There's a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, taking a leak in the community pond, and I'm trying not to do that. But one of the pet peeves of mine is, as fans, y'all, it's nothing that bothers me more is when I hear fans get out in front of fights. Listen, let's get out in front of the narratives. Don't get out in front of the fights. I seen an interview, right, and they happened to have Bill on there, and folks be lying. That's all, unfortunately. Yeah, I seen Bill on the Boxing Voice, right? And it's a guy that be up on the panel. I've crossed paths with this dude before, but it's like, this guy, long story short, right? They were talking about 147. I've been saying 147 is trash. I could pull out the thumbnail, but I've been saying it was trash. It's been trash ever since Earl lost it, because Earl had that energy. Earl was trying to, no matter what, you couldn't stop Earl from getting in the ring, in between car accidents. He came back all fast. Like, he was going toward the smoke 100 miles an hour. Even when you might say, hey, relax, calm down, like, pace this thing out. That energy has not been the same at 147, but it was so hard for me listening to this guy up on the panel. And I basically see the same thing I'll say here, the same thing I'll say in somebody's face. I was basically like, look, dude, wipe your mouth. Like, the way he was just catering to Bill Haney, and just see with me, when it comes to me, right, your son, man, when you look at 147, like, he can really go undisputed, right? So who can actually beat your son? Like, because you look at it, he's like, fuck Rolly, blah blah. What you mean fuck Rolly? You mean Rolly, the one who made the guy who put hands and feet on Devin, the one who made him put his hands in his pockets, dropped him and everything. Regardless of whatever excuse you want to make, because I noticed that people they love to make excuses when a guy that they don't want to win, when they actually win. There's all kind of excuses. They got more excuses than nigga getting ready to go to jail. when a guy that they're picking loses, right? But if you say, oh man, Earl Spence wasn't right in that fight because I know my guy. I know my guy. I'm not making excuses because Earl don't make no excuses. But if I say that, oh man, you don't want to give Bud his credit, but I noticed that that's always. So if you go by the logic of this guy, that was on that panel, he's a regular on this panel. He's a Puerto Rican dude. He been on all kind of panels. He talk way too fucking much. You know what I'm saying? He always glazing, and he's a glorified yes man. And most of the people that get up there, I'm gonna be honest, most people that get up there on TV, they yes men. You know what I'm saying? They are just yes men. Like whatever they say, whatever. You're just like, man, I'm not gonna do all of that. You know what I'm saying? I might hold my opinion if it's totally adverse to what you gotta say, but I'm not gonna keep coming back if I don't agree with you, because I don't gotta agree with you with everything. But if I'm like 80-20 with you, 90-10 with you, and the 20 or 10% where we just off or we just have a difference of opinion, I could live with that. I'll be back all the time. But I'm not gonna go nowhere where I'm just always in disagreement with you. The only reason why I really frequent the boxing was because they get a lot of interviews, and when Ness ain't on that bullshit, it's actually a good show. But when I'm listening to this guy round one and how he's glazing, it's like this is what's wrong with boxing, yo. Because we treat these guys, some of these guys, we treat them like they already made it, and they haven't. It's like, why are they even fighting then? Why don't we just give them all the belts then? Why don't everybody just put their money together and let's have a ceremony and let's just give Devin Undisputed at 47? If he don't gotta fight Rolly, like what kind of dumb shit is that? So listen, I'm gonna say, look, you can be a bodyguard, but be a bodyguard for the narratives. They try to make Easily Baked, salute Easily Baked. They try to make Rolly Romero out to be some trash boxer, but he's actually intelligent. His game plan against Ryan was phenomenal. I'm respectful to those that are respectful to me. That's pretty much that's how I am. You know what I'm saying? But if I don't rock with you, I don't rock with you. And that's another thing, man. I thought I was cool with a lot of people, right? But this is what I found. I was cool with a lot of people, but then you got some people that talk behind people's backs and they make phone calls and they do. And I heard another content creator talk about this earlier today. A popular guy. He talked about this. He said, oh man, they was calling and saying, but people have done that to me. And I'm like, I don't know these people. I don't know why this person over here got a problem with me, but there's been a conversation had about me. But them people can never tell you about anything that I've done to them personally. That's some bullshit to me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm one of them ones where I won't say anything about you that I won't say to your face. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna say this, man. Let's learn how to, if you hear this, especially if you catch this on the playback or you get wind of this, or if this wind up in one of the shorts, let's learn how to not be bodyguards of fights. Because even when it came down to Tank and Shakur, I didn't like when Tank said, what has he done and all that. I wasn't saying what has he done. I was saying I know what Tank means. I never got in front of the fight. I said that's the Cold War. I've never got in front of that fight. I don't do that. Even when Keyshawn was out here saying, Tank, knock, and all this, I called it straight down the middle. I lost people. I fell out with people over that because I started calling. I see shit ahead of the time and I speak on it in real time. And sometimes that rub a lot of people the wrong way. I'm like, hey, I'm not going to change. I'm about to be 46 years old. I'm not going to change. Yeah, I learned how to have tact and all this and all that. I learned how to just go away, step away, take a deep breath, do a woosah, all of that good stuff, right? But I'm not going to change. I was saying, oh, man, listen, man. I was saying, Keyshawn, stop calling Tank name. You're not going to fight him. First of all, you're over there with Top Rank. So I never got in the way of that fight. I wasn't saying Tank don't need to fight him. I was just saying, listen, Key is on some bullshit. I was calling him Clout Sean way before everybody caught on. I used to be a huge Shakur fan. I just got off and I said, I can't condone this behavior, man. I started looking, I started saying, hold on, man. Because I was on the other side of the argument, you know what I'm saying, making an argument, especially when it came down to him and Devin and all that. And then I sat back and I said, oh, in some of them instances that I get played a little bit, giving people the benefit of the doubt. That's why I say certain fighters, they get the benefit of the doubt when it's like, man, aren't we past these guys getting the benefit of the doubt? It's like when you go to the doctor and he say, what does it hurt? Does it hurt here? Yeah. Does it hurt there? Yeah. Does it hurt there? Yeah. Does it hurt there? Yeah. Okay, so it's the finger. It's you. If it's always hurting, if you like, it's you. So when it comes to certain fighters, there's always something. Bringing it back full circle, back to what I originally said about this Devin and Rolly. They're making excuses as to why Devin don't gotta fight Rolly. I'm like, why are you getting in between that? For one, okay, most of the time, a lot of the time, they were saying, oh man, if you really daring to be great, do like Floyd did. You know, he let Oscar take the lion's share, and after that, he became the man. Now they saying the totally opposite. It's like, oh man, ain't enough money. Even though the first thing that Devin said was that the money was good. He said Rolly, because I highlight the fact that there were 2 times here recently where B-Side sent offers. Oshaki Foster sent Shakur an offer. He said, hey, listen, I'll pay that $120. I'll get you your belt back. And to be able to send the offer, he already had to clear it with the WBC. And we can do it in Houston, which is your backyard. It's my backyard, but it's your backyard for real, for real. You the star, but it's our backyard. Everything. And they said, no. I was like, man, that's a duck right there. Because you were saying you wanted to go back there. I'm a true 135 pounder. I'm really not that big. But now you didn't want to do it. You waited until Ford and Oshaki got on the line. And then you want to say, oh, well, I'm going to go back down for Muratalla. And now people are making excuses, saying that Oshaki is too small and they making up all, getting in the way of the fight. I've never seen it. Even though this guy's on record saying that 1,000 people ducked him. And when it comes down to the fans, like the fans are getting real bad right now. The fans are just glorified bodyguards in modern day boxing. Yo. So let's not be bodyguards for these boxers, right? Let's start getting in front of, let's start beating up the narrative. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense, y'all. Let's stop. If you find yourself getting in front of a fight, because as a fight fan, don't we need fights to have something legitimate to talk about? Because I was saying this today, without gossip, drama, and narrative, a lot of people wouldn't have shit to say right now on YouTube about boxing. Ain't that sad? So think about everybody who's popular, everybody who do numbers. It's lies, it's narratives, it's political games, slander. Like think about how much, and I'm laying right here. Think about how much people talk about Al. Nobody ever seen it. There's people that actually talked to Al, and Al got up and walked away, and somebody had to tell him, man, that was Al Heyman. Oh, that was Al. They didn't even realize it. But people could get online and say whatever they want about him. Damn it, they can get online and say whatever they want about most of the people on PBC. Why? Because ain't nobody coming out there the way most of these people, like Devin got the D-Hive. Right, he'll come out there. Shakur, he got the Brat Pack. He got Bud, Clarissa, Chris Mannix, Sergio Mora, Tim Bradley, Andre Ward, Andre Durrell, Tarver. Shit, he got my guy, Teddy Atlas. Like all these guys. Like if you need all of that, you are not who people say you are. So let's not contribute to it as fans by getting in between fights. Because when Shakur was trying to actually get the Oscar Valdez fight, and he was over there with Top Rank, that was a Top Rank thing. There wasn't no politics getting in the way with that. That was whether or not Top Rank, because they was on the same island, that was whether or not Top Rank was going to give him the fight. People say, oh man, give him that, give him this, give him that. Now Oshaki done did everything. He's tenured. He's in his prime. He's been only fighting top 5 competitions since 2020. He said, hey man, if you want to fight my little mans then. He fights his little mans, washes little mans, or let's just say dominate. Because people say, oh, he didn't wash him. Well, I don't know what 118, 110, 116, 112. I don't know what that is. That dictates domination in my opinion. Let's throw out the 114, because we know that's some bullshit. I had it 117, 111. That's domination. He dominated a little man, and now everybody say, oh man, what would that do for his career? I'm like, are you a bodyguard or a boxing fan? But when Shakur was in that position, right, and he was saying, I just want my opportunity to show. Mind you, Valdez, all he did was hit that 4th quarter knockout against Berchelt. When you look at Berchelt and how that Berchelt resume aged, that shit aged like some bad milk on the hood of a car in Arizona with 120-degree weather. But Shakur wanted that fight so bad. Why? He had the height, the reach, the size, the experience, the boxing IQ, the better coach, the Olympic pedigree. He had all the advantages. And everybody was campaigning for that, but now everybody's campaigning and getting in the way of him and O'Shaquie. Y'all see how that worked? These guys always do that, and that's why today, when I get ready to transition to the meat and potatoes, which I am getting ready to, today, you got to keep in mind that these guys, right? I always say it's a series that I should do called Before the Silk Sheets. These guys, before they consider that they made it, before they get to the silk sheets, when they still hungry, right? You got to take a snapshot, a picture. You got to remember how they act and how they move and how they think and how hungry they are, how they want all the smoke, how they willing to go through this and they willing to go through that. Once they get them silk sheets, once the shoe is on the other foot and they're in the same position that they used to scoff at people in, they change. I've seen it with all of them. They blow up or they get the credentials or the cachet that they always wanted. Then all of a sudden they start acting like wide receiver divas. That should not be so. There's too many boxer fans and not enough boxing fans. Right, and that's what I'm trying to cater to. I'm trying to cater to things that pertain to the vitality of the sport. Okay, I see you with your message. Trying to bring me to the Christ, huh? Okay, I feel you, you know what I'm saying? Do your advertisement thing. I ain't gonna knock you, man. Boxing turned into love and hip hop. Yeah. So that's the housekeeping, y'all. That's truly the housekeeping. But let's transition from the housekeeping and let's get into the meat and potatoes. This is gonna be a good one, y'all, and feel free to chime in. Boxing has evolved, man. Yeah, until they make it personal. Yeah, until they start. That's another big pet peeve of mine when they start saying, and I bet you if you got in the ring, it's like, why would I be getting in a ring? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would I get in a ring? Why would I be trying to get in a ring? Or try to force their beliefs on you and get mad when you don't fall. Yeah, I'm not into all of that. That's why I say I try to keep on this channel, I try to keep it pure boxing, man. I try to keep it pure boxing, man. Because when you start getting off into it, just like in the work setting, man. Two things you want to talk about in the work setting is politics and religion. And I'm thinking, man, in boxing talk, those are two things you really shouldn't bring over in the boxing talk. You want to have some fun, have some water cooler talk, you know what I'm saying? Create some excitement. Like, I like what Crush be doing. He infusing in a way, like on his Wednesdays, like when he did the music thing and all that, genius, man. That's why I rock with Crush, man. Salute to Crush, man. He's one of the most original, unique, and unashamedly himself. And those are the kind of people I like. I like genuine people who's like that. You know what I'm saying? They just gonna be straight up themselves, man. Especially the older you get, that's all you want. But I try to keep it pure boxing. Because there's not many places over here for it. Not really a lot of places over here online that really has the pure boxing talk. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I be seeing some of your when I'm up, sometimes I be peeping the scene. I be seeing I be seeing it. But the evolution, right? This is what I'm getting at. I was like, man, modern day boxing is pretty much gossip and popularity and people. It's like the masses, right? The masses are dictating everything. And again, the favorite saying I always say is he who controls the printed page controls the thinking in this age, meaning that just like anything, when conquerors conquered lands and regions, right? How would they do it? They would do it through the media. They would do it through the newspapers. They would do it through the magazines. Now they doing it on TV. Now they doing it on line, advertisements, everywhere. Like whoever's controlling that is shaping the minds of the masses. Meanwhile, there are still some people in the sport of boxing that are still, propaganda them spreading one deep. Propaganda. But there are still some guys in boxing right now who they haven't quite made it to the silk sheets. Now they made some bread now. They done pretty much, started their little stamp. They starting to etch themselves in stone, right? They starting to etch their names out, right? Their name's not up in lights, and they not all the way on it. They probably got some silk sheets. They probably got some nice things. I see Shu-Shu enjoying some of the fruits of his labels, which is cool. He's a mature dude or whatever. So I know he's spending a little bit. You know what I'm saying? He's I seen his little setup or whatever. He's doing it. I know Gary Antuanne. He ain't hurt. He come from a boxing family. He was used to that with Mr. Gary Russell, right? Abdullah. Father, pretty much took care of them. Father been doing everything. He just got a gym. You see where his money is going. He's reinvesting back into himself. We know Rolly done made some paydays. He done got in there with Tank. I think O'Shaquie, he's just down kind of getting, some bread. I think he getting a little bit of bread. But like right now, when you look at it, the Shu-Shu down at 126, O'Shaquie's at 30, Muratalla's at 35, Abdullah's at 35, Gary Antuanne's at 40, and Ripley's at 147. And what do all these people have in common? They are very tough outs, but if you look at it, there is a strong push up against these guys. See, boxing has evolved into what Chris Mannix say, what the Ring magazine says, like what the Boxing Boy says. Like that's who everybody's pushing, and that's who they already get the benefit of the doubt. So if you go against them, you're gonna have 1,000 people coming out with the knives and the pitchforks saying, "Oh man, listen to you. You don't know shit about boxing." Blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, I do. I know that Shakur, he got up there at 140, and the same pressure that used to get applied to Richardson Hitchens, as soon as he won his strap, they start saying he got to fight Gary Antuanne. Then when he defended his strap against Kambosos, he got to fight Gary Antuanne. Shakur picks T.O., and they always talk about losses. They've been talking about O'Shaquie's losses, but I'm like, why y'all act like T.O. was undefeated? It's just like they act like Devin was the first one to beat Lomachenko. Was Devin the first one to beat Lomachenko? No. They say Jermaine Ortiz arguably beat Lomachenko, even though I had Lomachenko in that fight. But we know T.O. beat him, right? And we know he got beat very early in his career. And we also know that if that drop would have got considered, if they would have considered when Mr. Gary had that bad weight cut and he dropped him, if they would have considered that drop, he would have beat Lomachenko. So why do Devin get all the praise for beating Lomachenko, but T.O. don't get no praise for beating him? Right? Why do Shakur get all the praise for beating Teofimo Lopez when Teofimo Lopez had already gotten beat by Kambosos? Think about it. And there was no pressure once he won that strap for him to fight Gary Antuanne Russell. And why? Think about this. Let's parking lot right here for a second. Let's talk about Gary Antuanne Russell, because he don't get talked about enough. People say he only fight once a year. It's like, well, one, he's a PBC guy. If you look at this, Rolly and Gary Antuanne, they're PBC guys. That was part of the whole thing anyway, like why they wasn't fighting and why, because they're not going to give nobody from the PBC time to shine. Fortunately, when O'Shaquie went up against Fulton, they were treating O'Shaquie like he wasn't the champ and Fulton was the champ, but O'Shaquie happened to spank that ass. But they was not going to give nobody the opportunity to fight one of these PBC guys in Gary Antuanne and Rolly. Think about it. Loma got spanked by Salido, his second fight. Yep. But think about this, y'all. Gary Antuanne Russell, he just fought a guy named Andy Hirioka. Now, Andy Hirioka had moments in the middle of that fight where he went like a shark to the body. He was sharking, basically digging to Gary Antuanne Russell's body. What did Gary Antuanne do? He made an adjustment. He figured it out. And he wound up boxing. Boxing. You know what they do? They shit on Gary Antuanne because he was in a challenging fight. But I present to you that fight that he had in Hirioka fought better than Ray Ford going up against O'Shaquie. He put up more of an effort. He had more of an excuse with the jet lag and barely getting over into the country and all that. But nobody's calling for Andy Hirioka, the same guy who knocked out Ishmael Barroso. The same guy who when they robbed Ishmael Barroso, the old man, when Rolly fought him and Tony Weeks jumped in there and saved it early. Y'all remember that? But guess what? Gary gets shitted on for having a tough fight with Hirioka, even though that's what we want as boxing fans. No pressure for Shakur to fight him. Dalton Smith, he beat Subriel Matias, stopped him, right? Knocked him out. He signs up to fight Puello, and I think Puello was getting ready to take that strap. Why? Because I think Puello really won that fight with Subriel Matias, and Subriel used to be my guy. I just think he get hit too much, and I think it's catching up to him. You can't get hit that much, especially in your head and in the style. He'll take 4 or 5, not 1 or 2 to get his off. He'll take 4 or 5 to get his off, and it just caught up to him. But I thought that Puello was getting ready to unstrap Dalton Smith. But guess what? A week before Dalton Smith says, I want to fight Shakur, right? Like a week after, he pulls out of the fight with Puello. A week after he said, I want to fight Shakur, he pulls out of a fight with Alberto Puello. Alberto Puello had already been in the ring with Gary Antuanne, beat him, edged him out. He edged out Sandor Martin. That's a testament to 140. There is no pressure for Shakur Stevenson to fight Gary Antuanne. And since we're still on Gary Antuanne, before I move on, I want to say this. Before the T.O. fight, T.O. was the most accomplished at 140. He was not the most tenured at 140, y'all. All my boxing heads should know this. Richardson Hitchens had been there at 140. Remember, he was on TMT and everything. He survived TMT. He went over to Matchroom, got it out the mud the hard way, and went over there to the IBF. Now, he recently shit the bed by ducking, what's his name? Dev Wall. Oh, man, I appreciate that. Shout out Bodywork Boxing. Missed the recent live, but listening to the playback, y'all cooked that whole Shakur situation. I appreciate you, Dev Wall. I hope you took pictures of that fight, too, man. I know you was in the building. I wanted to get your take on when Lil Ray got slid out the ring. I was like, man, in the street fight, man, you think he boxed his head off in the street fight? He would have manhandled Lil Ray, man. But I thought, man, that shit was funny to me, man. But because he was a champ and he had class, he got the benefit of the doubt when he slid his ass out the ring. Had he been all emotional and, you know what I'm saying, did everything like acting the way Ray was, you know what I'm saying, they probably would have said, oh, you did that on purpose and deducted something. But because he was a champ, because they gave him the benefit of the doubt in the class that he was operating in, I think they kind of let that slide. And I really don't think he did it on purpose. And come on, man, Ray, you could have stopped yourself from going down that way. You just sat there in slow motion, just looked, and then you were just sitting there dazed like, what the hell? This motherfucker just threw me out the ring. But I appreciate you, Dev Wall. That means a lot, man. Salute, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you, man. Thank you. But let's think about this. Before Shakur went up there, I was saying that T.O. was the most accomplished fighter. Right? But he wasn't the most tenured, and he wasn't the perceivably most dangerous. But remember, Bridges and Hitches, we was never going to get that. Why? Because he's part of the Brat Pack with Shakur. We wasn't going to get that. And when they asked Gary Antuanne, that's why I was on my intro, he said the goal is to have all of the titles, all of the belts. So pretty much he don't care. It was almost like Earl when Earl was at welterweight. He didn't care who had the straps. His quest was to get all of the belts. He didn't care if Bud had one, if Ugas had one. He didn't care if Sean Porter had one. He didn't care if, if whether it was Keith Thurman or Kell Brook. He didn't care who had them. He wanted the straps. That's not how Shakur was moving. And all along, Gary Antuanne was the perceived most dangerous, because for a while, Gary Antuanne and Sabril Matias were the perceived boogeyman. And guess what? My mother's birthday, the same night when Tank knocked out Frank Martin, they lost. They both lost. It was an anomaly. The two boogeymen lost. Sabril Matias lost to Liam Paro, got edged out, got outworked. I think being in his own hometown and lights was big and all that. He got outworked by Liam Paro. He just got outworked. You know what I'm saying? Liam Paro, shocked everybody. Gary Antuanne and Alberto Puello just boxed. He did enough on my story. I don't even think it was really like in Gary Antuanne, I really don't think it was like contestable. I had Alberto Puello. Alberto Puello was nice. I think Sandor Martin gave him a lot of trouble. And I can argue that Sandor Martin might have beat Alberto Puello. But again, I say that both of them guys could have easily be undisputed right now. But let's think about that, y'all. Shakur beat the most decorated guy in TO. He had all the accolades. He wasn't perceived as the most dangerous like Gary Antuanne was. There's no pressure for Shakur to fight him. Why aren't people lifting up the banner for Gary Antuanne Russell? He put hands and feet on El Rayu. El Rayu boxed Pitbull Cruz's ears off. But everybody want to fight Pitbull. Why would everybody want to fight Pitbull? Why do most people want to fight Pitbull at this stage? Why? Because it's a blueprint on how to beat him. I think that guy, Angel Fierro, beat him. But it was the politics of boxing. I'm not sure. It's up and down with who beat him, who won between him and Lamont Roach. Some people say Pitbull. Some people say Lamont Roach. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's pretty much your preference in that fight, who you think won. But by the scorecards, a lot of people I know say Roach won. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure what side of the fence people were on in that fight. But Gary Antuanne Russell, man, why aren't people pushing him? Why they're not getting behind him? Why they not raising the banner and say, hey, man, what's wrong with this guy? He got the ick or something? He got the cooties? Why nobody want to get in it? Because it might be an ass whooping. It's the same reason why when Devin came back after him and after Gary Antuanne and Puello fought for it, it's the same reason why Devin was like, man, I'm not fighting that dude to get my strap. Like, you go to the bathroom, right? And you want a date, you go to the bathroom, and it's a dude sitting right there talking to your lady. You walk out the back door. How that work? You should come back like, every night I got to prove my love, and it's on. You know what I'm saying? That's how it should be. That didn't happen. Since we right there with Gary Antuanne, let's talk about Rolly. Let's talk about the evolution of Rolly. See, I used to think Rolly was one of the silliest. It's like, man, he was raw. I just talked about how he got, like, Tony Weeks robbed that old man, Barroso, of the fight with Rolly. But guess what? Rolly has evolved. Rolly has matured. Rolly has been in there training with the talented Mr. David Morrell, who just suffered adversity. A lot bigger, had a way better amateur pedigree, but still coming from the Cuban school of boxing. Having that Cuban pedigree, Rolly being Cuban. He in there with the young, talented Mr. Joseph Brown, a guy who's flying way under the radar, excellent father in his life, got a martial arts background. Rolly got a martial arts background, and Rolly has matured. I like, whenever you sit down and you have a conversation with Rolly, and Rolly is coming off more mature than Clarissa Shields, yikes! Like, Rolly is more mature than Clarissa Shields right now in the conversation. Who would have thought? But people can evolve in boxing. And the Rolly that lost to Tank and got put on stilettos by Tank, the Rolly that got, you know what I'm saying, pretty much stopped by Ishmael Barroso, that's not the same Rolly. And when Devin got that, when the talk was in first, like, cause let's go back. When Rolly beat Ryan, Devin celebrated. I said, why are you celebrating? You celebrating the same way you celebrated when Kambosos beat T.O. Jamal Charlo, as much as people don't like it, he came on and told Rolly, hey, you know, if I were you, this is what I would do next. I would fight Devin, man. If you can fight and beat Devin right now, it's gonna take your career to a whole nother level. Guess what Bill and them said? Oh, that drunk, he blah this, he that, blah blah this, that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, well, what? I mean, he beat Ryan. And you and Ryan couldn't come to an agreement, but wouldn't you want to beat the man that just beat the guy that put hands and feet on you? Only for them to come back around. And once they beat Brian Norman, they came back around to the Rolly. The first thing they said was the money was good. They said that the money was good. When have you ever come out and heard Bill and them where they actually won when they talk about money, but the first thing they say was that the money was good? Only to, if you fast forward through all the BS and all of the time that went by and all that, only to come back around on the very end and say that the money wasn't good. How was the money good initially and then it turned bad? Like, what happened? No, you got to thinking about it. You saying, no, if I take an L to Rolly right now, I'm really down bad. Why? And I was saying that's going to close the triangle. You know, the same triangle like when we had Tank versus Pitbull, right? We had Tank versus Lamont, right? Then we had Lamont versus Pitbull. That's a triangle. The same way we had Tank versus Ryan. Ryan versus Rolly. Tank versus Rolly. This would have been the one where we actually have the answers if Rolly were to fight Devin. Because I believe that that's going to be the deciding factor to see who really got whose number. See, me, I do be believing in that style mixed fight. I do think that evolution, and some people are better the second time they fight each other. Like if you put somebody in the ring with Jamal Charlo the second time, history has showed, just like Terry Norris, he knocking your ass out. So sometimes it's like, yeah, maybe I need a second shot at it to see what's going on. But see, Rolly versus Devin will answer a lot of questions, because in all honesty, that was game 7 when Devin fought Ryan, got his ass waxed. Even though they was tied 3-3 in the amateur, which explained that to me, because the amateur style in boxing, like, right, it would benefit the style that Devin got in the amateurs, but somehow they would knot it up 3-3. In the pros, Ryan went up 1, spanked him. So that's an indicator to me that Ryan kind of got Devin's number, right? It looked like Rolly, whether it was a bad night at the office, whether Ryan wasn't up for the fight, I don't know what excuse you want to use for why Ryan lost to Rolly. I'm not sure. I'm not going to make none. If I can't make no excuses for Earl, if I can't make no excuses for Jamal when he went up there for Canelo, if I can't make no excuses, y'all can't make no excuses. But I'm thinking Rolly might got Ryan's number. Ryan might got Devin's number. The mystery is who got whose number when it comes down to Devin and Rolly. And if Rolly is such easy work, if he's so immature, if he's not, an elite, because I'm not going to say that he's elite, creme de la creme. I'm just saying that he happened to gain all this experience. He's up there in a weight class that he probably should be fighting in. He might even go to 154. He has matured mentally. He's saying that he matured spiritually. I think he got more spiritual. I think he's more grounded. Even when you listen to how he's talking. I talked about the Rolly math. I said, man, Rolly's doing math. I said, it's scary when Rolly's doing math and Carissa's crashing out. But Rolly is more intelligent, sounding more intelligent, coming off more intelligent, more professional, more tenured than Clarissa Shields. What? If he's so much of an easy work, how come everybody's figuring out a way not to fight Rolly? How come fans are becoming glorified bodyguards, getting in the way of why we shouldn't see nobody fight Rolly? Well, he got a belt. What belt do he have? The most coveted one, don't he? Don't Rolly got the most coveted belt? The precious? Don't he got the green belt? And nobody won it. Rolly versus Devin was a potential unification, setting up leverage for Ryan versus Ben winner or even a Shakur fight. Why Devin turned that down? Because it might come along with an ass whooping, Dev. What do you think Rolly brings different than Norman? What looks different in that fight for Devin? For some reason, I think that Devin, he kind of mastered how to impose his clinch on people, right? But the last thing he want to do with a guy like Rolly is clinch Rolly. Why? He gonna get a forearm. He gonna get roughed up. He might get hit in the head. Like, see, Rolly is a martial artist. So that punch, clinch, hold, that's not going to be no benefit. And on the inside, Rolly know how to stop it. Yeah. He know how to do that little, So he'll try to clinch him. And as soon as he try to clinch him, Rolly's going to be like brutally way more stronger than him. Rolly like the tussle. That's in his wheelhouse. Right? And then let's not bullshit, because you can't bullshit a bullshitter. Even though it's been a minute, we haven't seen Rolly, right? What Rolly did to Ryan was pretty impressive. How he stayed disciplined, he stayed on the phone. Because at first Ryan got a couple shots in, right? And then Rolly caught his ass. Knocked him on them back pockets. But it was impressive that he stayed on the phone. He stayed disciplined. His technique got better. He's been in there with Joseph Brown, man. I'm telling you, that young boy, Joseph Brown, he's nice. I had the privilege of being able to interview him and his father, you know what I'm saying, over on another channel a minute ago. And the young boy is nice. He's in there training constantly with these guys. He's evolving as a boxer, y'all. And it's not sweet. But my whole thing is this. If the money wasn't right, why are you going to put it all on Rolly? Because the money, you just didn't want to bet on yourself. And fans wanted to actually see that. That is a marketable fight for all of the reasons I just named. But that didn't happen. So I'm not going to say that Rolly, because right now, Devin pretty much got the juice coming off of the Brian Norman fight in that division. But after that, who got the juice? Ryan getting ready to fight Conor Ben. I mean, it's somewhat of a circus show. I got Ryan spanking Conor Ben. You know what I'm saying? I haven't been high on Conor Ben since the egg situation, but like Rolly, that'll be the piece. Why? Because we got to see Rolly versus Devin, and then Ryan gonna have to get his get back. And like you said, it would be a lot of leverage if Devin were to go ahead and have two straps going into a Ryan fight. So the leverage that he thought he had, where Ryan probably going to command the more money, not demand, but command the more money. And but I think he's past YouTube and all that, I think Ryan is a bigger star. He has more star appeal than Devin. I mean, that's the brutal truth. It's just the brutal truth. And he finally made it to where he's legitimized as a champion now. And it's just the brutal truth. He was on Jimmy Kimmel. Like, he not just Gillian Wallow and all that. He was on Jimmy Kimmel. Like, the night, like, that's mass appeal. That's things that move. That's gonna move units. That's gonna move numbers. Like, that's kind of big. So I'm not sure why they avoiding Rolly. I think it's because it might be attached with an ass whooping. Let's move down to Abdullah. Abdullah Mason, right? Abdullah Mason. This who Abdullah Mason was. Abdullah Mason was my fight of the year last year. Abdullah Mason is a guy, a young man that you can pretty much all the way around. You can bet on Abdullah. Now he's gonna be, because Abdullah has an appetite for smoke. That's his slogan. He's running toward the smoke. Abdullah Mason is running toward the smoke, and he's gonna find himself in positions to where, just like when you see Tank in a fight, Abdullah gonna have you on the edge of your seat, just like when he fought Sam Noakes. He had us on the edge of our seat. I'm like, man, Abdullah, man, oh, hold on, man, Abdullah, you got this, like, hold on. But that's like his style. Like, that's gonna be the thing that's gonna make him like one of the greats. He's not in there trying to fence. He's not in there trying to pity pat and just touch your navel up or touch your belly button up. You left your ear open up. Like, no, he's in there trying to inflict damage. And he's still a little young. You know what I'm saying? He's still learning on the job, but he's learning in real time. And now he's already positioned himself as a champ. But when you look at Abdullah Mason, when you listen to how intelligent he is when he's being questioned, very smart. He's already playing chess. He don't get railroaded into dumbass questions. You know, it seems like he's senior, even though more of his personality is going to open up. We see a little bit of that with Boots. More of his personality is going to open up, but like, I don't think I like Abdullah's personality. I think that as a man, as he matures as a man and he experienced more life as a man, I think the interviews and all that are just gonna get even better. But I'm not bored. I'm not saying he's lame, he's whack when I'm listening to him. I'm saying this young boy is intelligent. You know what I'm saying? He has fervent, he has zeal. He's a family guy. He's always incorporating his brothers. We get to see his brothers, but he got my fighter of the year last year. Abdullah Mason is one of them guys to where he checks all the blocks. He got the image. He stays in shape. He don't miss weight. He's an exciting fighter to watch. He has an appetite for smoke. He already got the shirt, like the Earl Spence thing, like when Earl was like, you know what I'm saying, man down and all that. He already got appetite for smoke. He's already pushing that. He got a city. He got his whole city behind him. He got a street. He got Mason Day. He got a band of brothers in the father that care about him. That's not all. The father got more personality than most people even think too. He surprised me sometimes. Like, oh, okay, man, Abdullah, his father cool, man. He is on the way. He is the one that boxing fans should be getting behind, saying, I like this young man. Like, I got him. I got Abdullah. He got next. That's who got next. But Shakur get to say, guess what Shakur said? Oh, he too green right now. But he can go down and fight Muratalla. And what Muratalla got? Muratalla was really in the same boat as Tito Mercado, where they all had the same amateur pedigree. Muratalla beat Ryan in the amateurs. But Muratalla just beat Andy Cruz. But guess what? Shakur was over there. He didn't want to fight Andy Cruz. Keyshawn didn't want to fight Andy Cruz. Muratalla just beat Andy Cruz. And now Shakur want to fight Muratalla, but he say that Abdullah Mason is too green. Make that make sense. It don't. You can try to do some Chinese arithmetic and all that, you know, if you want to, but it don't make sense. Yes, Abdullah Mason is learning on the job. Yes, Abdullah Mason probably ain't going to be at 35 that long. He's going to be at 40, and before you know it, he's going to be at 47. And by the time he get to 47, 47 will be back. 47 will have somebody in the same spirit of an Earl Spence. I think he'll be a little bit more of a complete fighter. Don't have the Olympic pedigree and all that, but I think by that time he's going to have more of, if they continue to match him the way they're matching him, because he's stepping up. You know, he had a guy who he fought, undefeated guy who he fought for Venkat, a very tough guy, European guy that can fight dirty and all that. It was on different soil, right? That was a notch on his belt. He stopped the dude right after the dude went the distance with Rolly, right? Dude went the distance with Rolly. They put him in there with Abdullah. Abdullah stopped him. 3-4 rounds. 3-piece. Spicy. Stopped him. And he was still tight. You could still see him stretching because I think Abdullah right on the verge of making the cut. I don't know how he's making it and all that, but like I see Abdullah going to 40 real soon. But like Abdullah is the guy that gives boxing fans, especially us hardcores, he give us so much hope. We got so much hope for the young man. We just hoping that, and I'm not matchmaking him. Because I was like, hey, man, he was saying he ready for Muratalla. I'm like, I don't know. AC was like, I don't know. We don't know. We was saying, oh, we don't know. We don't know, but we're not going to be bodyguards. We're not getting in the way of the fight. We going to say, do that shit and may the best man win. And if you lose, we know you ain't going to pull a TO. We know you ain't going to put your hands in your pockets. You know that he going to have to knock you out. Think about when he suffered that adversity when he got dropped. Think about when he got dropped. He got right back up and finished him. He was like, man, I didn't even know. Like, you could see how his father was looking at him and saying, you all right, man? Calm down, relax. He was like, man, when you talked about it, when he talked to him about it, he was like, man, I was like, man, is the ref counting for me? He's like, oh, I ain't know. He's like, I got back together. He said, all I got to do is get back to what I was doing. He got up and stopped the man. All people want to talk about, oh, man, he ain't ready, man. He already got dropped. So what? So what? Brian Norman already lost. So what? When you in there fighting the best, challenging yourself against the best, you're going to get dropped. You're going to get buzzed. You're going to get wobbled. You might even take a loss. You go back, you regroup, you learn from it. Look at Gary Antuanne. He lost to Puello. What'd he do? He came right back and got a strap. Then he defended against one of the most dangerous, probably perhaps the most untitled, the guy without the most dangerous guy without a belt. Came back and fought that dude, and nobody would even say his name. Why is Abdullah? Why is nobody pushing for Abdullah except for people that's where he's from? Why is major media not getting ahead and getting in front of this? Why is everybody not singing his praises? Why is nobody saying, listen, man, we got one, man. We got a young guy, man. He got everything, man. He's like Swiss Army knife. He could do it all, man. Is he learning on the job? Yes. Is he where he's going to be ultimately? No. But he's on his way. Why is nobody saying nothing about him? Why is nobody pushing him? Why is everybody making excuses as to why? So they give Keyshawn all this. So when Keyshawn wet the bed and he had to come save the day, and Keyshawn was up, and I dug in Keyshawn's ass that day saying, man, you know damn well you ain't fighting no Abdullah. You getting ready to go up to 40. The nigga went up to 40 and he going up to 47. And guess what? His dumb ass double back, troll Abdullah again, and was just like, oh, well, yeah, you gonna fight me, blah, blah, blah. Well, fight me now. And you know, but you at 35. You probably gonna be at 35. So why are you even talking to the dude? Go crash out somewhere else. You blew it, cuz. You're blowing it, cuz. Go up to 47 and get some smoke. Leave Abdullah alone. Unless you want to fight him right now. And Abdullah said, I'm at 35 right now. When I get up to 40, you can be my first fight. Guess what Keyshawn said? Oh, I'm probably going to be at 47. Well, shut the fuck up then. But that's Abdullah, man. And nobody really talking about the young man. AC, what's going on, man?
Yeah, what's good, bro? What's good, bro? I'm just going to pick up right where you left off. In talking of the vein of Abdullah and things like that, I feel like this. People need to stop talking, at least to me, about, you know, Ali, Ray Leonard, Hagler, Hearns, Foreman, Mike Tyson, because at the end of the day, all of these guys faced the best. They all faced adversity, and they all lost at one point because they were trying to be the great of the greats. This is why they're known as the greats. So if you got a young man out here like Abdullah Mason and some of the other people that are on the thumbnail and they're running towards greatness, why the fuck are you concerned if they were dropped? Why are you concerned if they got a loss? It's not that, it's the mentality. The mentality is what matters. The mentality says, yeah, that dude could take a licking and keep on ticking. They even had commercials and stuff like that. You had Rolex and Timex and watches talking about how durable it is to take a licking and keep on ticking. So just with that being said, if boxing can't support the people that's out there, you know, trying to get it done, You hear the weird talk about Oshaki Foster and stuff like that. So what? He has losses, but look at what he's doing, regardless of his losses. You know what I'm saying? I often say, all right, if you're such a big fan of boxing and what would you say about Marvin Hagler and the first two guys that beat Marvin Hagler? Would you say he's a bum because he can't beat a Philly dude? Because both the guys who beat him were tall, lanky Philadelphia fighters. So what would this generation say about him? What would this generation say about you know pretty much any of the greats? Yeah, they took losses because they faced the best. They took losses because these dudes, where boxing was back then, they couldn't dedicate themselves 100% to the craft right now, where you got these young men that can dedicate themselves 100% to the craft, have all the support system because the money is there for them, and they still don't want to face the best. You have the best gyms, the best trainers, the best this, everything is the best that's at your disposal, and yet you still don't want to face the best competition. And then you try to sell us on the second, third, fourth, even the fifth guy who might be considered, within that scope. Yeah, he has potential, but he hasn't shown me anything. So at the end of the day, yeah, I get it. This is a weird era, and the evolution of boxing needs to be really, really appreciated. When we watch a young man who like Abdullah, has an appetite for smoke, is doing everything, being raised in a manner that, he's an arsonist. He's an arsonist because he runs towards the fire because he likes to smoke. And that's where I landed right there, so I can catch up.
Yeah, I was really just doing I was doing a round robin on the guys that's on the thumbnail and catching up with the comments right now. But Trini, you cooking, man, and that was funny as shit, Dev. Yeah, they would have been trying to fence Sam Noakes if that was them, man. But shout out to Thomas Hill.
Yeah, and just to talk about that, man, it just, like, I've been seriously looking at this and kind of asking a question, and I've asked some other people the question, and they just no. You feel the way they said no? I was just like, I don't know. Basically, it's like this. Abdullah Mason is signed with Jay Prince. Keyshawn Davis is signed with Jay Prince, and Shakur Stevenson is signed with Jay Prince. Only one of those fighters out of the three is actually running towards the smoke. You feel what I'm saying? And since he has an appetite for the smoke. But yet lately, on the Ring magazine and other major publications, they're trying to talk about Abdullah like, Abdullah is not quite there. He's too green. He's suspect right now. Does he deserve yada, yada, yada? Because at the end of the day, Sam Noakes is not a world beater, and he went toe-to-toe, life and death with Sam Noakes. And I'm like, okay, so what is it that you're trying to say? Because those of us who actually watch the sport and give a shit, we know Sam Noakes was a tough out. We were saying, listen, if Abdullah's not ready, Sam Noakes is going to expose him and could possibly beat him. So I don't understand why the dynamic switched now. Sam Noakes is no longer that guy. And the same people leading up to the fight was like, yeah, Sam Noakes is tough. He's no pushover. He's the perfect test for Abdullah Mason. Now that Abdullah beat him the way he beat him, standing toe-to-toe with him, they're like, oh, it's his ring IQ at question because Sam Noakes, forced you to fight that fight. And even when Abdullah answered the question, he answered the question like a champ. He was like, you could say what you want, but I that's something that the fans wanted to see. I fed into it. Yeah, I could have beat him easier, but it was more fun and more entertaining to watch me beat him like that for my first belt. Give the fans what they want. Then legends come out and defend him. So I was just like, I don't know. I just got to keep my eye on this space because just that one talking point, I think, is going to get a little bit weird.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is, I love that. You know why? Because there's gonna be a bitter truth. There's gonna be a bitter pill to swallow. Abdullah Mason fights are gonna have playback value. Like right now, it's the same way Tank. Like when you go back and you look at the fights and you actually see what's going on, his fights are gonna have playback value. You know, they might be a little adversity, but then like he's not in there trying to, you can't touch my shirt. Like he's not in there fencing. So it was beautiful. Now he's gonna have to learn, okay, you know, sometimes that might be able to get him in some trouble or whatever, but like that's like old school throwback stuff. It's like, yeah, I wanted to fight him like that because I could. Like Earl had that. Earl had that thing in him to where it's like, like with Mikey. You know, he probably had Mikey pissing blood for like a week after that. But he said, I wanted to outbox Mikey. I was saying step on the gas and do it, but he wanted to prove. He wanted to stand in front of Sean. When they said that was the worst thing to do, he wanted to stand in front of Sean Porter, and eventually, what happened? He dropped him, but that drop is worse than any drop that Bud ever did, because when you look at it, he made Sean Porter's eyes roll in the back of his head. That was like a real, like he really like did damage to that chin bone when that happened. You know, so. You know, Abdullah got that. That's the if fact. That's the secret sauce. That's the thing that's gonna have people tuning in and saying, "Listen, man, this dude, we gonna get a fight. If he headlining, we know that it's gonna culminate in a fight. Like we gonna get some boxing. We gonna do this. Yeah, it's gonna be some fill out rounds. But he ain't in there trying to just play touch and tag with you.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You trying to hurt you.
I was gonna bring up this point, something that Sean Porter said. He said, for him, he tried to beat Errol at his own game, out Errol because of the competitor he is. Errol Spence, you just was like, he's gonna out Mikey Garcia. Crawford tried to outdo both of them. He tried to out Sean Porter, and he did the same thing with Bud and some of the with Earl and some of the other people that he fought. The thing is, Floyd did that. Who else? I'm trying to. Vernon Forrest and Shane Mosley were known to do things like that. So it tells me the guys who are looking to become the greatest, when you're at that level, you try to find new ways to challenge yourself. Could I beat this guy at his own game? And when you look at all the guys who go down as legends and stuff like that, we can all point to several fights of theirs to where they didn't stylistically, they did not have to fight that guy that way, but they chose to fight that guy because the competitor in them said, listen, if I do what I do, I'm gonna make this shit look easy. So I'm gonna, handicap myself in a smart way to show that this new wrinkle I got. From other people who may not make the connections, if you play Call of Duty, right, pretty much a sniper rifle, a machine gun, a shotgun, those are the joints that do people dirty. But could you do the same amount of people dirty, give yourself, I want 20 kills with a pistol, and then you go out there and you sneaking up and you running up on dude, popping them with that pistol, and you doing your thing. And then everybody praises you like, yo, that dude was nice with the pistol. He was getting working with it. Yeah, because the competitor says, listen, I could do what I do with these assault rifles and sniper rifles and stuff like that. But, I'm reading the room, and I could still shine with the pistol. And that's what it is. Let me just pull a new tool out to display it. And the greats all do that. They all do it, whether it's in footwork, a shuffle, a stiff jab, a combinations of jabs up and down, standing in a corner with both your hands on the rope and the dude swinging at you and you just whop, just missing everything like the Matrix, and then you do a little hip wiggle and bam, 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 and then piece the dude up. That tells you that, yeah, those are the things the great does. Did Muhammad Ali have to do that? No. He could have easily just did some shit, threw out a jab or caught a check hook, spun dude around and just went ate shit on the dude in the corner. But he said, yeah, I need to entertain right now. And that's what the greats do. They know when to fight. They know when to box. They know when to entertain. They know when to take charge. And in that vein, you've seen a lot of that type of stuff, whether you wanted to see it or not, or notice it or not. You've seen a lot of that in that last O'Shaki fight. Shaki said, let me read you. Okay, now that I read you, now I'm going to put this front foot pressure on you. Boom. I'm going to do this. Oh, you caught me with a couple of good shots. Yeah. All right. Cool. All right, you done now? My turn. Bip. Now I'm going to put you back on your back foot. Bang, whole lot. Go into that shell like I want you to. Boom, bang. He was beating on that dude like he was a drum. You feel what I'm saying? So I was just like, wow, this is crazy watching O'Shaq beat this young boy up like this. And he doing it in a manner that just says, you know what, young blood? I still got respect for you and I'll let you move on. I'm not going to do you the way I really, really want to do you. Because I did hurt you. And I could have stepped on the gas just with a little bit more vicious body attack, but I was like, you know what? This is enough. Yo, daddy over there saw enough. He see it in your face. And like all them boxers say, I'd rather a dude knock me out than somebody beat me up and embarrass me for 12 rounds. And that's what the greats will do. They know how to handle business. They know when to bring out the championship qualities. And that man, O'Shaki Foster, was ice water. I got to give my props to two other fighters that are on that list as well. I got to give my props to Rolly, because Rolly's been handling himself like a consummate champ at 147. He's calm. He ain't like he used to be. He don't walk around in 90-something degrees with a big-ass fur coat on and glasses and no shirt on. So the dude has come a long way. He realizes who he is. The other person, I would probably say, is the sleeper of the bunch, because I would say, in terms of writing somebody off, I would say Mr. Gary Antuanne got written off like really, really fast. The Conceição victory over O'Shaq, that was a little weird. It was 50-50 split the way people viewed that. But when Gary Antuanne lost that joint, people were, he trash. Look, he can't even beat this dude. Yo, Gary need to hang it up. The fam need to hang it up right now, because the fam right now is without they pops, they ain't nothing, because Gary Russell, I don't know what type of coach he gonna be. He just got his brother lost. So they was talking some real crazy stuff out there, and then he comes back, gets to redeem himself, and then, oh man, like, you talk about playback value. Take your favorite movie. Watching that Hirioka and Russell fight, honestly, out of every fight that I've ever seen with Gary Russell, there's a huge level of bias with me on that fight. I'm a huge Andy Hirioka fan, and I like Gary Russell. And that performance that I saw kind of was making me feel like, am I looking at the actual two best guys at this division? Look at how Gary Russell's performance is, and he's not getting the push he needs off that victory. And for him to be out there, and you got other people talking about, dudes can pick and choose, and they can do this and they can do that, and you got to do this. Then, outside of that, if none of that other stuff go anywhere, hey, Mr. Stevenson, you got to see this dude here. Yeah, you got choices, but your choices are two people you got to see. One of the others preferred. I don't give a shit which one. I don't even give a shit in what order. But I know for a fact, if your road is to greatness and wherever you saying you want, O'Shaki Foster and Gary Antuanne Russell. If you ain't going to the Keymaker, and taking him out of that little room with all of those keys so he can unlock that one door for you, then listen, bro, I don't know how Zuffa gets you there. So yeah, I you know, at the end of the day, each one of these guys has their own qualities. Raymond Muratalla finally broke his ceiling by beating the guy that all of those other dudes were ducking and making excuses. Oh, he only got 6 fights. He only got 7 fights. He ain't ready. He ain't this. Yeah, but he beat him already. He beat him already several times in the amateur and beat him as a pro. So what are you saying? And then if what we're saying doesn't resonate with you, look at how happy he was when Muratalla beat him. Shu-Shu's coming along. Shu-Shu is learning how to play the politics of boxing extremely well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this
Yeah.
dude, yo, like it's crazy watching him. I've been looking at interviews with Shu-Shu, and I looked at how he broke down, you know, a possible fight, and I was like, I know what you want to say, but that shit was political as fuck towards the end of it.
Yeah, because when he said that one thing about Shakur, and then Shakur felt some kind of way, and then he came back and was like, "Nah, I should have." Same thing Richardson Hitchens did. He's like, "Nah, I should have just, with that being my guy, I should have just whatever." It's just like, it's sad that you can't even. You a boxer, you get hit in the head, you got a whole nother level of expertise because you actually do that. You can't even speak freely, man.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Go ahead. You went out, AC, but go ahead, man.
What I was about to say is not on the negative side. It's on the positive side. At the end of the day, there is, so far what's being shown, there is, with the exception of maybe a Zaquan Moses fight, if you can get it before he moves up or he just becomes too big or whatever, there is nobody within that wheelhouse over there that's really, you know, on your plane. So for me, I'm only saying, you know, I get it where you're looking at the overall business of boxing of this thing is, but at the end of the day, none of them dudes are any threat to you. They can't really affect none of your moves because none of them are necessarily in your weight division. And if anybody is in or around your weight division, they're not going to be there long because you're already 29 and they're like 20 something squeezing down, and you could see it. You could see it in how they're choosing to fight these guys that they should be getting out of there. So at the end of the day, bro, I'm only saying, you know, put a little Brownsville stank on it. Get on your Brooklyn bullshit a little bit. You know what I'm saying when it comes down to that. Be a little bit less political, but be political when it comes down to the right things. You know what I'm saying? And outside of that, bro, you're on a trajectory that, you know, you're gonna bring Brownsville boxing back. You know, everybody gonna be proud. That's like, yeah, we got Shu from the Ville right now. You know, so that's all I'm saying. And everybody else is, you know, all those dudes they're like a bag of weed. I don't need to sell you on it. We just know what we see, and we know what they cook smell like, and I ain't got no problem with when they start cooking.
You know what's so funny, man, is like you said by Tuesday we're gonna hear all the excuses. I've heard a lot of excuses, like what does Oshaki do for Shakur's future and all that. I heard that, right? But I'm starting to hear should Oshaki fight. I've seen somebody do a whole short about this. Should Oshaki fight Tio now? Should Oshaki fight Tio? Not should Keyshawn fight Tio. Not should. I'm like, and then right at the end, even Shu-Shu was like, yeah, I see myself moving up, and if Oshaki's still there, I can see myself fighting him. Yeah, I would love to take that, whatever, he's still there. So it's like it's even more. It's like a ton of roadblocks. It's not just excuses. It's more roadblocks. It's more stuntmen. It's more ways to try to get this dude beat. I'm like, if your guy is him, then why we gotta do this? But it's like it's the same. It's like the tank effect. Like Oshaki is getting the tank effect right now. They throwing everything but the kitchen sink at this dude, Lamont Roach. You know, everybody want him, but I'm like, y'all would rather go against him. But why the guy who he's been chasing don't want him as bad? Why the guy don't express and exhibit the same confidence? And he's got all his. That's why I always say one of my pet peeves is letting the fans do your bidding. Don't let the fans do your bidding, man. That's some whole ass shit.
Well, across the board, he's been doing some whole ass shit, because to have Ray fight your battles for you, and he been calling you out, he baby faced you. You know what I'm saying? So to have Ray do it, and then you gonna say, you'll bet your house that Ray is gonna be a nightmare to you. Well, we gonna give you about 6-7 days, but Monday you got to start paying me rent, homie. Because if it is what it is, and everybody want to hold you for what you say and what you tweet, you tweeted that some time ago. Oshaki now own that house. You, your daughter, and your baby mama living, or your wife, whoever she is to you right now. Oshaki own that crib. So you may be looking for a whole new house, or you may be looking to, pawn off a house to her. But you owe that man a house. You feel what I'm saying? You also said you're not giving him a shot until he fight Ray Ford, because you were willing to give Schofield a shot. So when we talk about integrity, and we talk about everything in boxing and holding people accountable and everything else, and who really ducking and who makes moves like that, who at the end of the day, bro, this is so cringe. If a person just looks at the history of what you were tweeting and saying since this Ray Ford thing started, it is cringe on you right now. That's why you were so emotional. That's why you were so emotional. That's why your only recourse to have any sort of leg to stand on, to give you some sort of energy, the one thing that you could put in your back as a battery, and then say, it's gonna run. I'm gonna put this battery in my back, and I'm gonna charge it with foreign accusation juice. That's what you got in that ring. That man said, I want to fight you. Now bring your ass up in here to fight. You got in there and you said, you know what? We're not gonna make no deals on no fight, but we gonna talk about sparring. That's what I'm gonna debate you about, the semantics of sparring, just like your fans do. When we talk about making a fight, and then they turn around and say, well, Tank don't want to fight. Tank ain't never made the fight. When did Tank say he wanted to fight? When did Tank come out? It's like, he don't have to, because your man been talking. Your homie over there been talking and tweeting. So miss us on all of that, man. Miss us, please. Because at the end of the day, man, you talk in a way that makes people, and then people are out here saying, well, dudes is just mad because Shakur got options. I heard a dude that said he co-hosts a channel, and that's the excuse he made, because Shakur got options. And people are mad. And I was just like, bro, are you serious? Why don't give a fuck about Shakur's options? What we care about and what we pissed about is the shit that dudes say. That dudes like you who claim you're not a Shakurian don't want to, go at him about it. Like, you don't want to hold him accountable for nothing he says. Shakur on many different platforms. On one platform, he said he'll go to 54. On two platforms, he said he'll go to 54 and fight Conor Benn. On the Breakfast Club, he's claiming that the highest he'll go is 47 and tiptoe around 47. On another show, he said everything from 35 to 47, he beat. None of them dudes could touch him. On another platform, yeah, I spar much bigger dudes, and size don't matter. So at least I always make this statement: there is more than one way to get to 5. But if you went one by one and told a lie one by one, then bro, where you are to me is a 0. A pure 0. Because nothing you said supports anything and can get me to number 2. I can't even rely on you with number 1. Because you ain't standing on business, bruh. And we fucks with you once you get in the ring, but we want to see you get in the ring with somebody that matters. The last time we saw that, I could probably say maybe it was Artem. Not even Artem, Yoshino. Maybe Valdez. For sure, Jamel Herring. And if I gotta go all the way back to Jamel Herring, you feel what I'm saying? We could say De Los Santos. We could possibly say that. But y'all put a record out, and De Los Santos said he wanted the rematch. You ain't trying to give him the rematch. Keyshawn said, I'll fight that rematch for you. Again, here's a second example of where you tried to pawn off one of your minions to do your work, and then turn around and steal a fight from one of your minions, and then tell everybody how great I am. Bruh, you was diabolical out here, man. You got some new shit in boxing going on. But I don't know how if I wanted to tie you into the elevation of boxing to where the media is telling you you've elevated boxing and you've done something and you moved into a space that was formerly held by Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford. If I had to match you compared to the guys that were on the thumbnail, I'd have many questions, bro. Many questions. Many questions. But at the end of the day, man, go ahead.
To me, it's sad because they're going to do the same thing that everybody did with Bud. Now, I didn't do it. You didn't do it. And in certain ways, I like Bud. In a lot of ways, I don't. Like, some of the moves, some of the narratives, like, it's just exhausting to me. But they're going to do him the same way they did Bud, because I just did it. I've been doing it here recently, where I say, man, when the historians go back and they put your resume and they hold your resume up to the light, that shit is going to be like a wet paper napkin. Because you fought Joette Gonzalez, you was involved with his sister, so you had something going on. And I'm noticing all these little things. That's why I say at the beginning of live, I don't know what you were doing, but at the beginning of live, I said, man, I used to defend Shakur somewhat, especially when it came down to Devin and all that, because I didn't like the way Devin was moving. I saw the politics getting in the way of that. Then I said, did I get played in a lot of ways? And I started saying, hold on, man, there's always some little political bullshit that's going on. Because when he fought Joette Gonzalez, first of all, that was a vacant. And it was Joette Gonzalez, and you was dating his sister at the time. So that man was going in there, I don't know what kind of. And then it's Joette Gonzalez. What else did he do? I think he got beat the fuck up by Figueroa after that. Like, he hasn't done shit after that. You blew weight. Yeah, you beat the shit out of Conceição, but you blew weight and dropped your belt against Conceição. I can't count that because you blew weight and Conceição still took it. He probably needed the money. You blew weight and beat the shit out of him. You did what you did to Yoshino, right? That was valid, but you fought Haratunian after Frank already beat him, coming off of that loss. That was the same thing you was getting ready to do to Cordina, coming off of a knockout loss to Kakasi. Now remember, you shared the same division as Gary Antuanne Russell, Mr. Gary Russell Jr., the longest reigning champ at 126. He reigned for 6 years, 352 days. You found a way to avoid him. You and Oshaki was down there in the same division. You found a way to avoid him. You fought Zepeda, right? Zepeda wasn't like certified yet. Zepeda had a big following because he had all these fights, but against who? Because he arguably lost to Tevin Farmer the first time. And he rematched him, and then he did his thing in a rematch. But like Zepeda wasn't nobody that everybody just wanted to see. It wasn't tenured. It wasn't somebody that was like on nobody's pound for pound and saying this. Was like, no, high volume puncher, not the heaviest of puncher, not the best technique. He does do body work, but like that wasn't nobody that we thought would challenge you. You beat Josh Padley. He was on the roof early in the week, the same week he fought you. He got a call. That's like me when I was in HVAC. That's like them calling me. I'm up on the tower. They're like, hey, man, you getting ready to fight Tank this weekend. You want it? Hell yeah. I'm going to go get knocked out this weekend for that bread. Hell yeah. And then Padley came out and said that it really wasn't the punches. It was just like his condition and all that. He wasn't ready. He wasn't, you know what I'm saying? And then Tio, you picked Tio, but you had already sized Tio up. You sized Tio up. You didn't fight Jermaine Ortiz, who had a contract with your name on it when you was over there at Top Rank. You avoided Muratalla. Yeah, you was running all up on Loma, but Loma was inactive. He had already turned down a Tank fight at that point. And Loma had already had how many losses? He lost to Devin. He lost to Tio. He lost to Salido. People arguably say he lost to Jermaine Ortiz, even though I side with Loma on that. And you know, you fought Tio, but you handpicked Tio. Why? Because you had a sparring history. So when you look at the championship caliber and people say 4 divisions, well, guess who else was a 4-division champ? Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner resume better than yours. Right now, Adrian Broner resume is better than yours, bro. People be trying to discount Tank because saying, oh man, he not 3-4 division, he never unified, but it's like, okay, let's just say he's a 3-division champ. If you don't want to count what he did at 140 against Barrios, but Barrios, Ryan, and Rolly all went up to 147 and got belts. Name somebody on your resume, one person on your resume that went and did that. But you want to fight Lamont Roach. Your resume is looking like a wet paper napkin, dog. Like, and they're not going to wait. They're going to wait till it's all over the shit on you. The way they did Bud. Like, when people didn't really start telling the truth with Bud until after he really retired. They say, well, when you really look at it, he kind of played. I'm like, this is the shit we were saying in real time. I'm not saying he's not a bad man. I'm not saying that he wasn't one of the most vicious dung beetles in the game. Like, he'll let you go collect all that shit, and when you get at the mountaintop, he gonna come out the cut and knock you off. That takes a special skill. But to try to say that he's better than Floyd because he did that to Canelo when Floyd beat Canelo I said, how did that work when Floyd beat Canelo 10 years prior? So how are he gonna be better than Floyd when Floyd beat him 10 years prior? And then the way Floyd did it, man, like, yeah, it was some old Shockey versus Raymond Ford shit with that too, because one judge had that shit a draw, and we know that ain't. And now people saying, well, he didn't wash. Man, that fight was so close with O'Shaquie. I'm like, man, he dominated that nigga. Like, if 2 judges had it 118, 110, and 116, 112, that's a domination. Like, did he wash him? Did he beat shit down his leg? No, but he dominated him. By the letter of the law, on the same thing, on the same merit that y'all be praising and Dick Ryan Shakur for the sweet science, he sweet scienced the shit out this nigga. And he slid him off the ring. But your resume, bro, when they hang it up, because people love to talk about that shit. When they hang your resume and they put your resume up to the microscope, under the light, when they put a flashlight on that shit, up to the magnifying glass, and they really like examine it, they're gonna say, damn, well, who did you? Because they love to say but remember, I told you, the dude I cooked yesterday, when I first asked him, okay, well, who was the first champion that he fought? He couldn't even tell me. But Shakur, he really got on white jeans, but they look blue because of the nigga blue. He couldn't even tell me who was the first champion. He didn't even know it was Joey Gonzalez, but he would go tooth and nail. He would argue with a whole panel full of motherfuckers, get emotional, get cooked, get flambéed, and then as soon as you say T, as soon as you say T with the long A sound, as soon as you say T, oh yeah, man, well it's like they always like piranhas when they smell blood. As soon as you say T. But Tank don't want, but he sent your guy off and he said no. That wasn't good enough. He ran to one island. Now he going to a whole nother island. That resume, bro. You could be 4 divisions, but okay, cool. That's a great accolade. Because I mean, the average guy. Because you'll have fans coming, well, you can't do it. Yeah, you was never a boxer. Like I get tired of these people, these couch potatoes who always want to talk about boxing and they ain't never even stepped inside the ring. It's like, well, shut your dumb ass up, because Stephen A. Smith, he played college basketball, but they always default to what he say and go to, you know, at least listen to him and tune him in. He wouldn't have a job if they didn't listen to his analytics. He never was in the NBA. He was never in the NBA, but he got right. You know what I'm saying? He get the right to say whatever. So that shit missed me with that. But when they say that 4th division and they go back, because a lot of these people that be dick riding, that love that Chinese eggplant, you know what I'm saying? They like eggplant. A lot of people that be loving that eggplant got a taste in their mouth for that eggplant. They can't even tell you, okay, well, 4 divisions, but who? What 4 divisions? A vacant against Joey Gonzalez, a vacant against Edwin De Los Santos, who you had a hurt hand and y'all set a record. You had Jamel Herring. What had Jamel Herring done after that? Jermaine Ortiz beat the shit out of Jermaine Herring. After that, what did Jamel Herring do? And then you get T.O. Well, what was T.O.? T.O. was accomplished. But when you go back, and this is where the playback value and what he actually did, when you go back and you look at T.O., he didn't even sell out in that fight. He didn't even let his hands go in that fight. So those are the 4 champions. So when you say 4 divisions, let's think about it. You Joey Gonzalez. You had Oscar Valdez. But like when you say okay, you got Oscar Valdez, whose claim to fame was Burchell. What happened when he took his ass? What happened? Oscar Valdez got the shit beat out of him by Navarrete. You had a contract with Navarrete and that never came to fruition. You had a contract with Jermaine Ortiz that never came to fruition. So when we look at you can say 4 divisions, but who are these guys? Jamel Herring, right? Edwin De Los Santos, Joel Gonzalez, and T.O. That shit ain't gonna age well, bro. Especially depending on what T.O. do next. It's not. And it's not like you knocked out or stopped any, like you didn't stop none of these guys. Like you didn't stop none of them. You did the sweet science. So to put all these excuses in front of O'Shaquie now, you know, just like when you were saying, when you was on Top Ring and you were saying, man, they won't give me Oscar Valdez, and that was Top Ring's political play because they had that NBF. Well, guess another thing that I seen. Shakur almost got some NBF shit going on too. What do you mean, Mike? If you listen, I'm gonna tell you, right? Shakur got some NBF shit going on. Because, okay, he was signed to fight Schofield, and he fought Jamel Herring. What other slick black fighters did he fight? We could say Frank Martin dipped out. We could say you flexed on Devin, but I'm talking about what came to fruition when we actually see you getting in the ring, doing your thing. We just seen O'Shaquie back-to-back fight a Ray Ford, fight a Stephen Fulton. But you got some NBF shit, no black fighters, huh? Because you want to go through hoops for Muratalla. You said you were chasing Zapata for 2 years. Like, people who know their history and been looking at this shit, man, they're going to be looking at, I'm telling you, when it's all said and done, you getting the accolades now because the media got your back. All your millions got your back. All these people that's scared, they might be from New Jersey or affiliated, or they think that they're going to get blackballed or they ain't going to get no play in GA from saying anything contrary to what you got going on, and the fact that they don't really want to offend Jay Prince. Like, but they gonna cook the shit out you when they look at your resume and they be like, okay, well, yeah, 4 divisions, but who? The same way they do Bud. The same way they do Bud. Because it's the same thing like when he beat Earl, right? And it was talks before Earl, it was that he was gonna fight Jermell, but Jermell, he went to go get that Canelo check. He dismissed Jermell because when he jumped up there to Canelo, the performance or whatever, said, I don't gotta fight him or whatever. And then he went in for who? He went for what's his name?
Avanesian.
No, not Avanesian.
No, this is before that.
The dude, what's the dude at 54? He just fought with the flu, or they said he had a flu or cold, and we were saying he ain't look too good. The one the one Virgil Ortiz wound up beating up better than Bud right after.
Oh, that's Madrimal.
Madrimov. You rushed to fight Madrimov. That's how it's looking because you're rushing or you're trying to make this deal to go fight Muratalla or whatever, which I don't think is going to happen because you're going to Zuffa. And we don't know what's going to happen with Zuffa. But you pursue, you relentlessly, you said, I've been chasing Zepeda for 2 years. You can't honestly say you've been chasing Tank for 2 years. You didn't put the same aggression. You didn't jump through the same, because he sent you an offer and you said no. You could have pulled you could have did what Floyd Mayweather did when it came down to De La Hoya. You could have took the reins over. Right when Ryan got lit by finally doing what he did to Barrios, you could have said, you know what, if skills pay the bills and it's not all about size, because I heard a lot of people saying, oh man, Shakur so much bigger than the Shaq, he's too small than this and this, and then you see Shakur online, like, you already said you would bring your ass to 140 down, and y'all better not let him off the hook. Bring your ass up to 140. You always want all these punk ass advantages, bro. And that's what's disgusting about boxing. It's like, that's why I'm like, yeah, I don't get hit in the head. I've been over to, I was in the Army. I went through basic. I done repelled out of helicopters. I've been in danger zones. I've been out here, man. I've been living life. So I've been in danger. I've done some crazy shit. I've been in Iraq. Where they ask you, oh, do you fire a warning shot or not? They asked me that when I went to the board to get my sergeants, get my stripes back. They asked me, do you fire a warning shot? No. So we was already over there where they say, then they pulled me back in and said, yeah, you do fire a warning shot. I was been in hostile, so I've been in some shit. But I don't got a right to be able to point out this bullshit when it come to you. And these boxers who want every single solitary advantage. Like, why do these guys need every single solitary? So you want to bring Oshaki up to where you thinking that's going to be a disadvantage, but he's confident enough because he's based on what happened when he was at sparring. And then I heard somebody say, oh, well, man, sparring is different because Shakur let you hit him in sparring, and that's different. It's a role. We all know that. So why is he still bringing it up, period? Why did he jump up and down when he said, man, what he said in sparring? Because it's like, man, when you hit a nerve with somebody and they act like that, then it got to be some truth in that shit. Regardless, and I'm starting to see this. It don't matter who the fuck we think, because I always said, like, man, even with and I'm gonna land right here, AC. Even with what Shu-Shu said, he said, nah, right now, he said, I don't think Shaka beat Shakur. So what that mean? We shouldn't get the fight. We shouldn't get the fight. Like, well, I'm tired of hearing that. Just because you don't believe somebody will beat somebody, so what? That's something to say. Oh, they shouldn't even fight. And that goes to what I've been saying about how these niggas move anyway. They are not picking or selecting opponents to where people even think that they could lose. That's the problem with boxing.
And for me,
when I'm lying, man.
And for me, Body, here's the crazy part, just to end up right there. Because I peeped that and I was like, I hope people peep the way old boy asked him the question and the way Shu-Shu answered it. Shu-Shu answered it not at 35, but at 40. At 35, I believe Shu-Shu feels Shaq beats him. Because he was like, yeah, at 30, and if he go up to 35, and he was just like super praiseworthy. If you had to put it in minutes, he spent a good 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes, talking about how good Shaq is at 130 and how good he possibly can be at 135. His only contention to the fight where he had a pause for me as I watched it was when the dude was like, so if they should fight at 140, how do you see the fight? And everybody's putting the whole 140 thing, but here's the thing that I wanted to say right before that. Shakur right now is claiming that he only wants to see Muratalla at 35. When he was on this interview with this chick, he was like, nah, I'll fight all of them guys, but people just, if those fights get made, people just got to give me the time, to get up there and figure out whatever. But, I'm a 35 pounder. Okay, so if you're a 35 pounder and Shaq is willing to come up 5 pounds and you're not willing to face Devin Haney nor Conor Ben without a rehydration clause, and that's only 7 pounds. The math is not mathing to where it's telling me Shakur is a person that's running towards the smoke. I only want to see Muratalla at 35, knowing that Muratalla, if the fight is made, let's say in 2 or maybe 3 months, this might be the worst camp for Muratalla because he's just too big.
Right. And look, this the other thing, AC. We just saw Bud, because think about this. This is the same argument I was just making. This is how I say that these guys always contradict themselves. Bud, when you talk about Bud versus Canelo, it's like, oh man, that was just Canelo. No, that don't mean he gonna fight everybody at 68. I'm like, okay, well that kind of, if you one of them ones, yeah, you went up there and you got Canelo, which is a great feat, but you didn't want to fight nobody else up there. How come O'Shaquie don't get that benefit? Especially when they started down at the weight class and your boy Core is out here saying, I'm really a 135 pounder. So why you got to drag this guy up at 40? Because that means you need that advantage. That means, so it ain't just, you don't feel as confident as what you're leading your fans to believe, or the people that's putting this shit out. Because we just saw Bud do it. He jumped up from 54 to 68 just for Canelo. How come O'Shaquie just can't do that and it just be that, but without no caveats and whatever? But Shakur been saying he at 35. Then when you say he need to do it at 35, why he gotta do it at 35? He don't got no belt at 35. But y'all just said the belts don't mean nothing.
He just said Muratalla. Listen, Muratalla can keep that IBF belt. I just want to fight for the ring. So what's wrong with you and O'Shaquie fighting for the ring? We've seen weird shit like that, at least concerning the ring.
But Shakur, man, that's why I say I'm starting not to even really want to talk about the dude no more, man. But this gonna be probably one of the last times until I hear more news and we figure out what's going on before I really just bring this dude up, because it don't make any sense. It just the moves, because he in one breath he'll say his skills pay the bills. Well, if skills pay the bills, why you want to catch weight in a rehydration with the other guys who, you have perceivably more skills than Conor Ben, and people perceivably think that you got more skills than Ryan. I think you have more defensive skills, but this is just like Devin and Ryan. This is just like Devin and Ryan all over again, except for shit. Ryan has progressed. Like he done got off the pot, because for the while him and Conor Ben was in the same boat. Conor Ben has yet to get a title. We were saying he was the UK Ryan with all this hype and all this whatever, but never got a belt. So now Ryan finally get a belt. Now you want to catch weight and a rehydration with him, a catch weight rehydration with Devin, a catch weight rehydration with Conor Ben, but you want to yank O'Shaquie up to 140, but fight Muratalla at 35. And you just now wanted to fight Muratalla because we went over the 6-fight, $18 million minimum deal that you had. We know you was going to have to mix it up with Muratalla. The writing was on the wall for you to mix it up with him, and you didn't want to do it. You didn't want to do that until after you seen him get past Andy Cruz. But you saw a southpaw do that because you already did your homework. You're like, oh, well, that's how he was doing it. I can add my little wrinkle to it, and then voila. That's what you're thinking. But Muratalla could be the banana peel. Yeah. Muratalla could be the banana peel, especially, well, if he going over to Zuffa and it don't happen next, and Muratalla go to 40, then shit, I know he don't want to see Muratalla moving up to 40. I know that.
Yeah, that's an absolute fact. Now, here's why I wanted to say this, and for me, this is my end-all, be-all to the argument, or to the debate, whatever, and dealing with any Shakurian. Take Shakur's last 7 fights. Who became a star as a direct result of losing to Shakur Stevenson? This thumbnail you have right now got a dude up there who became a star as a direct effect of getting stopped by Tank, getting Stanky Leg knocked out by
Put
Tank.
On stilettos, yep.
Everybody talking about Rolly. I just gave Rolly praises about an hour ago, talking about his turn, his this, his that. The thing is, I'm gonna say this and it's gonna sound funny. Tank knocks common sense into these motherfuckers. he punch you, then he puts shit in perspective by Tank going upside your head. He puts things really, really in perspective. You feel what I'm saying? When it comes down to, you know, the guy and everybody says he doesn't want to face him, I'm asking the question as a direct result of people who fought Shakur, who became a star. De Los Santos is not quite there yet. De Los Santos still has to do stuff, but the effect of Rolly was there. You know who else is going to become a star as a direct result of losing to somebody on this panel? And I could say 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, almost every dude has that ability and that effect. Andy Hirooka is going to become a star as a direct result of losing to Gary Antuanne Russell. Sam Noakes is becoming a global star as a direct result of losing to Abdullah Mason. Andy Cruz is becoming a star as a direct result of losing to Muratalla, as Muratalla is rising to his stardom. Them two fighting uplifted both of them. Ray Savage is going to become a star after losing like that to O'Shaquie Foster, as O'Shaquie Foster's stardom and claim and recognition now is starting to happen. You feel what I'm saying?
Great.
Shu-Shu's next opponent or next couple of opponents, one of those guys is going to become that, if not the guy he just didn't stop, because the guy did put him in trouble. So almost all of these guys up here, you feel what I'm saying? You could also say, well, listen, Ryan gets stopped by Tank, becomes a star. Within that whole thing, everybody starts to recognize him, looks at him like, yo, those pay-per-view numbers those two young men put up as far as views and stuff like that. I'm just talking about it in the terms of how many people tuned in to watch that fight. Boom, that made both those guys a star. Then he turns around and does his thing with Devin Haney. You feel what I'm saying? It's a little dip, but it's also a rise at the same time, which was a weird dynamic. Then he gets in there with Rolly. Rolly was on a dip. Everybody was like, I don't know about Rolly. This should be an even fight for Ryan. Rolly shows us something completely different. Ryan becomes a star as a direct result of losing to Rolly because it was such a huge upset. Rolly becomes a star, and then Ryan solidifies his stardom by beating Barrios. Yep. Like, what the fuck, bro? And you see, just because these guys are going after smoke, that's the effect we're getting. So when you want to try to tell me something of what this guy is doing over here, Teofimo Lopez is not going to become a star as a direct result to losing to Shakur. Neither will Zepeda, because we don't hear shit about Zepeda. The fact that Zepeda's got himself a title shot, that all depends on Zepeda's performance.
Yeah, that depends on if Roach beat him, and if Roach beat him, guess who? Tank's stardom goes up even more, because now, and especially if Roach stopped him, man, your resume gonna age like that, the gallon of milk on the hood of a car in Arizona once again.
Yeah,
in summertime. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly, bro. So you could just, if you, again, this all ties back into the perfect title that you named this one, Evolution, because you're seeing how everybody's evolving because dudes are mixing it up. And when there's the guys who are really, really doing it like that, we see between the fans, not the media that wants to sell us a product, but the fans, the true fans of the sport, we're watching how these guys elevate, and then the media is trying to piggyback off of our energy because we're letting the media know who the real guys are. You know what I'm saying? But the media still has its agenda because money must be made. This is a whole ecosystem that is a business within itself. So I get some of the things, but it's just like, okay, let's just be realistic about how we're talking and what we're talking about. There are boxers, fighters, and then there are, what I would call the commodities. The guys who do enough to get the eye test going, and then they just take them in a whole totally complete direction to where it's, now we're giving you movie scripts and all of this other kind of stuff. Meanwhile, we're looking at dudes who are doing it from the mud, gaining their name and their name recognition, fight by fight by fight, win, lose, or draw. And that's the biggest difference between what the media is going to tell you and, basically the handful of channels like this one that are just going to be honest, at times brutally honest, at times admit we were wrong, eat our crow, and keep it pushing. But at least you know that there's a channel that'll tell you if I was wrong, I was wrong. They're not going to try to tell you, well, go back 7 videos ago. You know what I'm saying? When I called it and I just changed my mind because, the tea leaves was reading that way, and I saw the oracle, from 300, and I had to climb up that mountain and get that little ugly dude all those gold coins and shit like that. But other than that, bro, 7 videos, 18 videos ago, I put it down. And you just look at them like, what? But your last 6 videos were so adamant on this. What changed? So you could tell me about videos you said in the past, but the way you talking right now, I would only ask you what changed between what you were saying back then and how you feel right now. So it's just a little, like I was telling my missus, and this is what I tell everybody too. Perception is reality when it comes down to the social media stuff. If I'm never perceived to be wrong, and I'm always telling you, you can't get at me, and I constantly move the goalposts when we debate and mute you and then force the argument down to a semantic point that does not neither make me win nor lose the argument, because people can see I'm being manipulated to an answer. I'm not giving that answer on my free will. You're saying, no, we can't get past this because you said this. Yes, so if I said this, how does it get to that? See, there you go. You trying to move the goalposts. I'm going to mute you up right now, and I'm just going to ask you this question. And you sitting there like, bruh, on some real shit. The two don't have nothing to do with each other. They really don't. So why the fuck does that matter? What matters is this right here. There's a big pile of dog shit in the middle of the floor. Are we both gonna act like we don't smell it? Because I know I smell it. I'm asking you, do you smell it? And you're telling me, no, that's not dog shit. That's just canine mud. And I'm like, canine mud? The fuck is that? You feel what I'm saying? That sure smells like shit to me. So I just find it hard that channels will try to do that and gaslight you, but we're trying to make the point. We're trying to let it be known that, yeah, there's a real evolution. There's nothing wrong with young fighters, being matched and maneuvered in a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Because they all do. Even if you're trying to convince me that Devin Haney wasn't matched and moved in a way. No, Devin Haney just moved in a way that when he came out, he was just, he just immediately went after champs. Okay, so if that's true, then there should be a championship fight within 3 fights of Devin Haney boxing, much like, let's just say, a fighter like Lomachenko. Within his first 2 fights, he was out there trying to fight a champion because they moved him like that, because they trusted in what he was doing. But the point overall in what I'm saying is this. every boxer, if you don't have the Olympic pedigree and you don't have the amateur pedigree, they have to move you that way. Unless you somebody, you know, with the power of Tank, Mike Tyson, Deontay Wilder, Francis Ngannou, Chuck Liddell. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think of all the people that within boxing and MMA that just got a crazy mean one-hitter quitter.
I used to love the Iceman, bro. That was my favorite guy when I used to watch it, man. I love
Or
the
the mother,
Iceman.
his little pot belly in his hands, and he just be like, "I'm gonna knock him out." You know what I'm saying? Chuck put that on you, bro. It's a wrap. So for me, it's just like, okay, if you don't have one hitter quitter like that, and even if you do, you still have to know the mechanisms of how to get there, foot placement, blocking, and everything else. You know what I'm saying? So they got to move you a certain way. So I just look at it to where dudes try to say, well, you know, Abdullah ain't just because Abdullah's still on that top ranked diet. So, you know, he ain't there yet for me because he's still on that top ranked diet, and you know top rank. And I'm like, okay. So let me just say this. Devin Haney, you were moved because, and you were matched because many of your first fights, the thing that got you to where you needed to be, I just brain farted on the dude's name, but that guy was 9-0, never fought out of his country.
Santiago.
Huh? No, not Santiago. I think it was for his interim that actually put him into position for the Loma fight. The dude is tall and skinny. I got his face.
Moran.
Give me a second. Give me 1 second. I know the dude as soon as I see his name. You're gonna know who I'm talking about too. Zora Abdullah.
Oh, okay. Abdullah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he was 11-0. My bad.
But it's ironic because that Santiago, and just I ain't gonna interrupt you. Just keep that thought. But like just a caveat on that. Santiago, it was the same thing. That was the first time that he fought in the States, and it was an opportunity where it was a 3-week window where he could have fought Loma.
Yeah,
I gotta put this out there. He could have fought Loma, but he didn't fight Loma, right? But he wanted to go ahead, and when they did that franchise thing and they gave Loma that thing, it was a window. Mauricio Suleiman came out and said it was a 3-week window where he could have fought Loma. He didn't do that. And he stamped that thing against Santiago. That's why I thought it was Santiago, because that was his first fight over there.
Yeah, and for me, it was like, when I looked at it, I was like, Abdullah, I did see him prior to that, and I think he retired the dude on the stool or something like that. It was something that looked kind of impressive, so I was like, but he's still mad green to be up in there with Dev, and that's how I felt. And Dev go out there, put the beats on him and stuff like that, and then that was everybody in the media like, oh my God, Devin Haney, did you see it? Oh, this and that. You feel what I'm saying? But I was like, yeah, Abdullah appeared to be scary, but there wasn't really nothing there. You could see it just wasn't nothing there. Like when I saw him actually fight a whole fight, I was just like, this dude need a lot of work. Yeah, he got power, but that's it. He's slow and he got power. So for me, it was just like being a Dev fan like that. It was just like how he was automatically put on this pedestal after that Zora Abdullah fight, and that just kind of took me back, and then it opened my eyes to certain things he was doing. But what I did like about Devin that kept on giving him the caveat. He did something that I'm like, okay, there's several ways to get there. You fight the best. You feel what I'm saying? You build your name on the best. You build your name on getting the toughest fights. You can build your name, your early name, which I don't have a problem with. And this is where I gave him the play of just building your name off of, you know, building your name off of other big names, especially those veterans. Because I'm a strong proponent that, yo, if you don't retire some of these veterans, they just gonna linger around.
Right.
Know what I'm saying? So put them out their misery, retire them dudes. It
right.
does serve a purpose for you as a young fighter. You do get some points off of it. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to build your name off of, you know, by the time you came in the division was full of a bunch of 36 and 37-year-olds, but all of these dudes were, you know, in their prime. They were all problems. Then go ahead and get rid of all of them, because it's only gonna do well for you, young man. Because at the end of the day, what it sometimes does is gives a young fighter veteran experience. He's been in there with all of these veterans, all these crafty veterans. So you're gonna have to respect what he does if he gets in there with somebody young and then makes that dude look easy. Yeah, because he's got all of those veterans under his belt. You feel what I'm saying? But when they're old bum-ass veterans, you know what I'm saying? Then it's just like, ooh, that's a little cringy there, bro. I don't know about that one. You know what I mean? So he gave us a decent mixture of both. You know, some guys who just had the name and some guys who had the name, and in their heyday would have probably smacked Devin to sleep.
You know this I want to say this, man. There are some similarity between Devin and Bud. Them guys have immaculate timing, and they have the innate ability to where right when you think, okay, they get put in a match to where it's like, see, Devin get a mulligan for Ryan. If that stand firm, then that shit would have been done. But the fact that got wiped off because of the Oster ring, right? They have, and when it goes down, people are gonna do the same thing with Devin. They're gonna look back and say, "Oh man, well he got accolade soup. He got a lot of accolade soup with the timing and when they fought him and the circumstances and how all of that shit, panned out." The people in real time who was actually watching it can say, "Hey, hold on, man. Y'all don't know the backdrop to this and what was going on." So it was brilliant. Devin is still living off of that Brian Norman shit because nobody saw that coming. But him and Bud got a lot of kind of similarities. Two totally different styles. Bud is a killer. He's just a straight up killer. You know what I'm saying? But the timing and when they moved and the excuses they made for why they didn't want to do this, because I always say Bud was in the same weight class as Regis. He was in the same weight class as AB. He didn't fight him. He didn't fight Thurman, even though when he came to 47, he wasn't chasing Earl. They got the red hoodie, black hoodie moment, but he was chasing Thurman. But he chose to fight Horn. And then he played with Top Rank and he had the whole Bob Aaron thing where, but the timing and when they actually fought the kind of people, and Shakur is slowly merging in there to where it's like, bruh, you got a couple mulligans because the Schofield dropped out and Frank Martin, he wanted a little extra on it, and he went and got stopped by Tank. So you got them two things, and it's a couple things that saving you, and the fact that you never rematched De Los Santos right when De Los Santos was in shape and on weight. You didn't do that, but the timing and when they fighting these guys and all that, it's working. It's going to work until it don't. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to say that, but let's land right here. This is what I want to ask you, AC. I'm gonna put this back up here, and I'm gonna ask you. This is the question that we're gonna end out on. Which one of these guys has the most potential to be able to get as close to undisputed as possible, if not get undisputed. Which one of these guys can right where they at in the division where they at? This is why I picked these guys. Which one of these guys has the biggest potential to be able to like undispute in their division?
See, just on the question, if I take the question literal and remove the context of boxing politics and all of that other stuff, my answer is going to say Shu-Shu, because there's not a lot of BS and stuff like that within the division he's in. 130, there's some issues to whereas with Oshaki, we know how long Oshaki been chasing Navarrete. You feel what I'm saying? And it seems to be that Navarrete is and his people are going to continue to duck Oshaki. So for me, if Oshaki goes up to 35, yeah, he could be undisputed at 35. So the one definite for me is Shu-Shu. The second place would be Oshak. Mason, I don't know what weight class undisputed comes for him. You feel what I'm saying? I know for a fact if he puts on the weight the way I think his body frame is telling me he's gonna put on the weight, 47 might be his undisputed. 40 might be unified. 35 might be unified. You feel what I'm saying? Mr. Gary Antuanne Russell, I can see there's a possibility at 140 he can get undisputed. But that possibility rests on the fact of what Shakur is going to do. If Shakur leaves 135, my answer would change. Yeah, hands down, the first person I think is going to do it is Gary.
That's my answer. That's my answer. I believe because that's his goal.
Yeah.
And I believe he's patient. And at one point in time, I was impressed because he's like, look, I can go down and go up. It's just once I undispute. And he's got that. He's not a spring chicken, but he's not old. He's not long in the tooth either. I think that they're waiting him out, man. And it's sad,
and
man. I gotta do more content. I gotta do more content. But I think
that's why I made about him, because he's on. They got him on the waiting list.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Yeah,
that's the only thing with him. Is like I think they're waiting him out. They playing hardball with him. It don't help him that he's with the PBC. It don't help him that he's as talented as he is, and he got the corner that he got in Mr. Gary, and they know that he comes from a championship pedigree. But my answer would be Gary, because it's a reason why he's looking above. Like it's a reason why Shakur is looking above, below. He's looking everywhere but in that direction. And I think so. My answer would be Gary, but a close second to me would be Rolly. Why? Because he already beat Ryan. And so I think he kind of got Ryan's number. And for some reason, Devin don't want to fight him. Then you look at the other guy. When you look at this guy, let's see where he at. When you look at you look at the guy on the far right. I mean, nobody banging for him. So I would say Gary, if they play ball with Gary, he got a shot.
Yeah,
because there's a reason. Like we know AC when people, when you really think, because look at how they pursue. Look at how most guys pursue somebody or accept fights, or how easy it is to get fights with guys when they really believe they can beat them. The fact that Shakur has never looked in Gary Antuanne way, the fact that the media never push it, right? Even when Chris Mannix, and this is what was so crazy about the other night, Chris Mannix was so quick to pull water on that Oshaki fight and say that the Zuffa thing was, but then, you know, when you bring up Muratalla or somebody like that, everybody's open to that kind of conversation, like because they believe they would do it, but nobody opens that can of worms with Gary Antuanne. So I believe that Gary has the best potential to do it if they play ball. But Rolly could do it if Devin come around full circle and they want to mix it up. I seen Rolly do that thing about saying he retired, and I'm like, that's more of a frustration play than anything. It's almost like when T.O. said he was retiring, even though Rolly not moving away. T.O. was bucking Top Ring and their whole system. I think that PBC, the fact that they sent the offer and all that was a solid offer. Devin would have got paid handsomely for that because that fight was going to sell. We talk about that all the time. It's just that I think that Devin, he doesn't feel, because when you feel like you can really beat somebody, just like I was surprised when he took the Brian Norman fight. I'm like, damn. And then when I heard Hitchens talk about how, oh yeah, I want that fight next, I'm like, hold on, you will fight Brian Norman next? You know, when they really feel like they can beat somebody, they accept and take these fights.
Yeah.
But I could see Oshaki doing it if they play ball, but like Tim Bradley say, Navarrete been ducking Oshaki for 2 years. Lamont Roach ducked him. Shakur ducked him. So people don't want to talk about that. But Shakur, factual information, Shakur ducked Oshaki. I'm not talking about just now. He did just now, but he ducked him when he was in the same division. And Lamont Roach ducked him too. Navarrete been ducked him for 2 years. So the only reason why is I think they're going to play even more hardball with Oshaki than they are with Gary. So, but yeah, I wanted to end on that, man. And how you want to land your plane, brother?
Yeah, I'm just gonna give us a quick rebuttal to it. This is why, without all the politics, for me, I see what Truth is saying in the comments, but for me, 26, it could really happen because this young man wants undisputed at 26, and he's saying, listen, nothing happens before undisputed or I unify. And I think once he unifies, he's gonna think and say, well, you know what? You know, my legacy, and he's spoken before about Espinoza, and he wants that fight. So this is why I said right now, between all the politics and all the BS, and people doing weird goofy shit at weight classes, for me, it could happen really quick with Rolly, and that comes to find out, and for what's the name, because we just heard Shakur signed to Zuffa. We're gonna find out and see what he's gonna do with those belts being signed to Zuffa. Is Zuffa gonna force him to fight for one of those Zuffa belts? You feel what I'm saying? Or they're gonna say, well, in your case, we'll just be a promoter and we'll let you, we'll get our money rocking with you on ring belts. So that's gonna be a different dynamic to find out how they're gonna move with Shakur. The same thing type of dynamic is gonna hold up Rolly with Devin Haney. If Devin Haney is going over to Zuffa, and the same thing applies, much like with Hitchens, much like with Ja Obitaya and these guys, either dropping a belt or being stripped, it's gonna make the difference. It's just with Muratalla and Abdullah, we don't know what weight class, and you can kind of put Oshak in that same class. You feel what I'm saying? I would probably again go with Oshak as my, and I'd stay double down on this, Oshak as my strongest second, because if he goes to 35, we know these two dudes ain't gonna be there long. So a fight between them, I'd still love to see it. And at the end of the day, for me, Oshak looks like at 35 he might be all the technical problems that just walks through these guys. And that's where I landed with that. And as far as anything else, I honestly thought because I think one of the last texts I got from you was like 809 or something like that. And I just looked at it and was like, yeah, he probably going on at 9:15. I was just sitting here, reading and watching videos and shit like that. And when I clicked on, I was like, oh shit, he went on at 8:15. And it was just that. But
Yeah, I should have sent the I should have did what I normally do when I say the link been sent, because I had already sent the link.
yeah,
I
and
thought
then when I went back and
you
yeah,
know what I'm saying?
I saw the link I saw the link at 7:50, and I was about to tell you, yeah, bro, I got the link from what you texted me. But I don't know. I think the time was a little bit weird, and it made me. I think I saw both of them around 8 something, and just didn't. And I said, oh, he sent that. And then when I was gonna text you or something like that, it was 809, and I was like, yeah, you probably going on for 9:15 or whatever. But that was just all on me. You
But it's
feel?
all good. It's all good. Shit. If I had to, I like the fact that you're not a yes man, and that you come your analogies the best in the game, man, right now. And the fact that you're a professional, man. I like the fact that you treat this shit like the way it should be. So I could hold it down. I was holding it down all this time by myself, but
Yeah,
I like having a co-host, so it's not just like the mind of Mencia. It's not just the mind of Michael Rogers. It's just I have somebody to balance or check me, or because I need that. I need that. Okay, am I too far with that, or So I like it. So I could have held it down, but I said, shit, I'll hold it down till you get on, man. Ain't no biggie, man. Life be life, and shit be happening. But either way, the
yeah,
show gonna go on.
yeah, for sure. And at the end of the day, man, it was still a great cook. You feel what I'm saying? And I look forward to the next one, and we just got to keep, for the fans who's watching, yeah, this channel's gonna keep supporting. We're gonna keep looking at the guys who are elevating and keep it true. Yeah, we rock with a lot of people, but you know what I'm saying? When you start wearing silk smoking jackets and laying around in silk sheets, and you got pink sweaters on tied around your waist, and you're talking about my darling bunny, you know what I'm saying? Getting all proper on me and shit like that, then I'm gonna be like, oh my God. Or you come through with the big scarf and the big glasses and the little French hat, and you done went or Hollywood actor on me and shit. I'm gonna be like, yo, what happened, Lamont? What you doing, bruh? You know what I'm saying? Cause my dude Lamont, he pretty Hollywood right now, man. And it's crazy for me because, I was one of those dudes out there running on a lot of different channels. Like, yo, listen, bro. I think Lamont got something to prove, man, and he gonna bring a fight, man. This is not what y'all think it's gonna be. And yo, I like Lamont, and Lamont trash. He did this. Yeah, I get it, but dude went on a 9-run, win streak, and in the middle of that, he captured himself a belt. So you gotta respect his comeback, bruh. You feel what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, my guy went Hollywood. I'm calling him out on it. I don't really like it. I didn't even like when Dev went Hollywood, being Dev Dollars and all of that goofy shit, and Debo Dev. I didn't rock it. But he went in there, and he showed through the machine of boxing that he's got behind him. I Debo'd the shit out you, young dude. You feel what I'm saying? And as a result of it, people compare that Brian Norman fight, although some people were talking about Brian Norman being trash, they compare that's like, Devin Haney's Errol Spence when it came down to Bud versus Errol Spence. You're moving up as the bigger guy, the stronger guy, the guy that can impose his will on you. You know what I'm saying? For Devin, he had some shaky performances and stuff like that, and he went up there and he took the throne from the young man and put him in a land of confusion. You feel what I'm saying? Like he was the Jews walking around the desert for 40 years and shit like that, lost. So,
But the thing is, bro, I seen that nigga round one over there on TBV when somebody brought up Stan Giannis, and Stan Giannis just got to get back. He just got to get back fight. Over there, I think in Lithuania or whatever. And they was like, nah. And then when they said a rematch for Brian Norman, the dude was already shaking his head like, nah. But he's coming off a knockout loss. And then who did they say? They was like, I forgot who they said. They brought up some name. I'm like, hold on, this dude just came off. He just came off of a loss. Oh, what's his name? The guy, Karen.
yeah, Kukuchan. Yeah. He looked horrible in that last fight.
No, listen. They was advocating for a Karen, but said no to a Brian Norman rematch off of a knockout win, and just dismissed Stan Giannis, even though he came back and got his feet. I'm like, that, like, to me, that says it all. Like, that's the problem. That's like how I started off the show saying, man, look, we can't be getting in front of these fights, because if you saying like absolutely no to Rolly, he said fuck Rolly. So listen to my logic, and I'm gonna let you go. They said fuck no to Rolly. They said hell no to Brian Norman coming off the knockout loss rebound. They said hell no to Stan Giannis getting back in the win column after the Boots fight. But yeah, Karen coming off of a loss, like, to the UK dude, who he was coming back in the later. He was coming back at the end of that fight. Like, if that was like a 15-round fight, he probably would have won.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the problem with boxing, man. But I just wanted to point that out. And I'm like, man, they just be making my head spin as a boxing purist, man. But that's the landscape of boxing.
Yeah, because they don't. It's when I look at this type of stuff overall, it's the mind games. How it's like somebody is telling them how the subconscious mind works. It's not a direct thought. It's a chain of a bunch of little thoughts that'll bring you to something that you had suppressed, or you just put in your subconscious, or things that just happen like that. It's always a chain of thought that brings something from the subconscious to the conscious. So if they're constantly doing that, and then they drop in all of these little, like how they say Easter eggs, when they need to recall a certain feeling or something like that, it's like they're maneuvering shit and then drop something and give you these talking points. And for people like you and I that don't buy into it, we're like, how the hell did they come to that? But those who are already programmed, it's like, the best analogy I can make is the Winter Soldier. When he was captured and stuff like that, and the little Russian spy dude broke into the prison and everything, and he was just like, Venus, flour, bread, pancakes, and he was just naming off all of these things, and you see, dude like shaking his head like, no, stop it, no. You feel what I'm saying? That's how it feels. And then they're just saying these things that have these trigger words in it, and then those talking points just blurred out, and you like, how did you get there? Like, what's making you say that? No, it's the facts. Based on what? This actually happened in real life. Yeah, but that don't matter. And you sit there like, whoa, did you just tell me, yeah, but real life does not matter? Yeah, I said that because you don't know shit about boxing. And you sitting there like, all right, bro, you got it, my guy. I'm gonna bow. Yeah, because you just got cooked. Well,
let me ask you something, man. When you think we're gonna get another what is it?
Well, I'm actually, since we talked about it earlier, I was actually going to start all that research tomorrow because basically, I I have to. For me, I have to basically cook on this Zuffa thing because for me, it's more people are like really getting out of control. We're trying to justify it and calling it all of these things that it's just not. And I just want to, continue to put that stake in the ground and say, okay, there is X and there is Y and there is Z. What I'm asking you to do is understand the difference between all of them. Apples are not bananas, bananas are not apples, and oranges are neither one of those. So that's kind of where my mind was because over the last week I've been cooking with a lot of dudes and they're not Shakorians, but I would probably say at this point they're Zufanites. If that's a whole new word to say because Zuffa can't do no wrong. It's everybody else's wrong but Zuffa. And anybody who's not rocking with Zuffa, you just don't understand boxing and you're not, aware that sanctioned boxing is dead. It's all about Zuffa. So I'm like, okay. So I guess I walked into the land of Zoophoria and I'm talking to a Zuffanite. You feel
It's
what
just wild because we just coming off the backs of the turkey thing, and people won't give my credit. People give 3 other channels the credit for it, but I'm like, y'all don't give the source. Y'all won't give the source for this. Like when I was saying that Turkey was the Trojan horse, and were they, good for boxing? Like, no, they're not American boxing. In that this is all now. I've heard this reference all the time. Like I hear people boasting their chests out and saying this, but they won't give me credit for that. But I'm like, even though I've debunked, even though I don't get into this, I've debunked like my offer. Like I've debunked that. Like I don't believe none of that shit. Like I'm a true historian, but I don't get into that because this is a boxing channel. But like this is just like selling us into slavery all over again.
Yeah.
Y'all sold boxing fans into slavery with this motherfucker Turkey. And then knowing that Turkey he's behind this other shit, and I was like, man, we had already said it's content out here already that we already put out here saying that Zuffa is the feeder system for the ring in Turkey, and he's behind all of this, but nobody wants to believe it. So I'm thinking that it's time for another DITD, Devil in the Details. Zuffa explained, because there's a lot of people out here like fish out of water, just floundering around, just flip-flopping all on the deck, just gasping for air, but just what I'm saying, just swallowing Zuffa, man. Like you just saying, you open up your mouth and you saying for Zuffa, and you don't even know where you're selling your people to.
Yeah.
So I think it's time, man. So just let me know when you're ready for it, man. I'm ready for it.
We could, like, for me, it's just give me the day to just put together the details. You feel what I'm saying?
Well, it's Tuesday, so
yeah,
what?
We
Maybe
can do it Thursday. Thursday or Friday if we just want to like rock out with it and have a great cook on Friday. This is not fight week or nothing like that, right?
Not that I know of. Not nothing that's
relevant. It's next week. Next week.
Yeah. So yeah, let's do Thursday just in case, because shit, I might have to take my lady. I might have to go out and get a crab boil or something with my lady on Friday, man. We gotta
bro. All right,
keep the honey on the moon and
let
her know what side of the menu she eating from. That lobster and that shrimp that come with a side order of tube steak, so I might have to let her know on Friday.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Young couples gotta, young couples, it gets a little hectic, but you know, it's like fishing. You constantly fight, and it's like, oh, I gotta pay. Gotta reel it in. Nope. Gotta give her a little slack. Nope. Not gotta reel you back in. You feel what I'm saying? So
Let's
it's the
aim for
push and
Thursday.
pull, huh?
Let's aim for Thursday.
Yeah. Let's all right. Then let's do Thursday and stuff like that. And I was just laughing because when you was talking, bro, like when I start, you know, like some of the things that I've heard and the the sheer confidence, and then when I broke it down to homie, like he actually just like pissed me off and angered me because he was talking in a certain manner that I had to explain to him from this the testimony. I said, you bullshit me now because yeah, that's how I thought they was gonna rock. So I'll give you that. But by their own testimony that they did on the House floor and the Senate, you feel what I'm saying? By the publications that they dropped once they showed the reply from them dealing with Ja Obadiah, how can you say what you say is true? Yo, the silence was so awkward. I was like, bro, man, your man need help over here, man. Your boy need real help right now because he drowning. You know what I'm saying? And then I was looking in the comments and he was like, bro, he just like this new dude just rocked you. He just whipped your ass, bro. Like, shut it down. Yo, listen, Obadiah and everybody, they whole team knew because before it went down, the IBF contacted Obadiah. Told him, you got a choice. What choice did he make? So effectively, while you're trying to argue semantics, that man dropped his belt to fight a guy that he could have easily made the fight within the sanctioning body. Maybe he might have not got the same money he got paid for that guy, but effectively put you out of the David Benavidez fight. I said, bro, one of the easiest ways a fighter and the most common way a fighter ducks is to go and sign with a whole new manager and promotional company.
Yep.
And that's when that awkward silence came in the second time. And I was like, bro, just dead it. This conversation is done. You cooked, you flamed. It's a wrap. You know, but on to the next one, buddy. Great show. Everybody, man, make sure y'all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. The shows are only going to get better as we get closer to some of these bigger fights and everything. And we keep our foot on the next. And just wait to how this show gonna go down on Thursday, how we gonna break down the Zuffa thing.
I appreciate you, AC, man, as always, man. Thank you, man, for coming through,
sure.
man.
For sure.
All right, man. Enjoy your evening. Yeah, man. I just wanna this is not housekeeping. You know what I'm saying? But this is more like taking out the trash. When I met AC, the same way I was going at the guy I was talking about I was going at earlier, I went at AC like that because I was like, man, every time we get into it, we had our disagreement and it was on another channel. I came back and AC, he didn't hold on to that shit. Like, I was cooking on facts and what my understanding was. He was cooking on facts and what his understanding was. He let that shit go. We were like men. And I said, you know what? I could rock with this dude. I like this dude. So I want to tell y'all that, man, because this channel's out here to where people talk behind closed doors. People will call people. People will message people. People will smear your shit all over the place, and it's like they're lying. Look at my character, look at their character, and then see whatever. Like, I have never fallen out with somebody, right, based on what somebody else told me about that person or that individual. That's not how I rock. Me, if we're close enough to where I have your number, I'll pick up the phone and call you and say, hey man, like, listen, man, I'm feeling like, is this how this is? Or I'll try to give you a warning, like, hey man, this what's going on. You got some people that's blah blah blah, just doing this and that. But like some people, man, they cause some bullshit. So while the perception will look like one thing, that's not the story. Like me and AC, we rock out because me and AC, we've learned that we could be at odds. We can be going at it like two lions. You know what I'm saying? Where he's standing firm on what he's standing on, and I'm standing firm on what I'm standing on. And then we'll agree to disagree, and then the next day, that shit is over with. It's on to the next. But some people like to cause a lot of messy shit. Some people like to be real messy. So the perception is that I stole AC from this and that. It's like, no. AC don't rock what he don't rock because y'all not solid individuals over there. Something that I already said. But see me, I give a couple people passes. I'll give you like 2-3 passes. Like I'm not the man that I used to be. Like when I was like 23, 24, 25, I'll bite your head off and spit down your neck. I'm not like that. So I'll give people grace. I'll say, hey, you know what I'm saying? You know, all right, man, yeah, maybe they whatever. But my lady, there has not been one person that I told my lady about and that she's been able to see over a period of time to where she told me I don't like that motherfucker. And then I say, hey man, well, I'm not on that no more. I'm not as quick to judge and I'm not quick to do this. And I'm not where she hasn't been right. Where ultimately I'd be like, yeah, babe, you was right about this motherfucker. Like they not right because I'm more mature now. Like if you don't fuck with me, you don't fuck with me. You know what I'm saying? Like unless I personally done something to you, right? Like where I like totally like disrespected you or came at you in some kind of wrong kind of way or whatever. Like unless that actually happened, then you fall out with me. You fall out with me because of your integrity. You fall out with me because it's something that I'm doing or something that I'm saying. Even though I do pure boxing talk over here on Bodywork, we talk about a little bit of life every now and again. We do, but we try to keep it pure because in the beginning of the video, I said that there's not enough channel just keeping it pure boxing. So if somebody don't fuck with me and they all on the phone painting all these messages and saying I did X, Y, and Z, you gotta come hear from the horse's mouth what I did for AC because I know that he loves boxing. You know, he does frequent some other channels and, you know, he'll get in the comment section or he'll get on the panel and he'll speak his piece. But I said, man, shit, AC need his own channel. So I said, man, I recognize that, man, you really care about boxing. Some people only care about the gossip. They only like the attention. They only like the views. They only like the subscriptions and all the shit that come along with it. AC is not like that. Like shit, it might be an hour from now. It's 11:08 right now. It might be an hour from now, and he'll see you. He still be up. He'll be online, still talking boxing, or you know what I'm saying, engaged with boxing talk. I got to get up early, so I'm gonna lay it down. But I noticed that, man, AC needed a voice. He needed a spot. He needed a place. So it's not because I stole nobody. How can you steal another grown man from another whatever entity or whatever? It's like, no. I open the doors. I speak. I've seen people that I've seen online where I see them out in public. I speak. I acknowledge them. I do this. And they won't even say what's up to me. You know what I'm saying? Like when they see me online. That shit don't make no goddamn sense. Especially if we don't have nothing personal going on. That's why I always say, listen, man, you got to acknowledge and appreciate and contribute to the real. That's why I'm always going to go through and support my man Crush. He be coming on in the morning. If you don't know about him, you know what I'm saying, probably one of the best to ever do it on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Unapologetic, just straightforward him. Just gonna be, you know, just gonna do his own thing. A lot of people gravitate towards him because he's just gonna be himself. He gonna talk that shit. He gonna say what need to be said. Those are the kind of people I like being around. AC, he gonna say what need to be said. You know what I'm saying? Like, regardless, if he gonna be, it could be 1 against 9. AC is gonna speak his piece and how he see it. He's not just gonna get down or lay down. He's not gonna be one of them. If I can't beat him, I'm gonna join him. Like, no, he just like me, to where if he don't agree with that shit, he gonna stand firm, even if he get up under your skin or whatever. You know, and I thought that AC needed, you know, a spotlight. I think he needed a speaker. He needed a microphone. He needed an amplifier. Because this channel is not just about me. There's other segments, like Miller's I was gonna have a segment. My man AJ was gonna have a segment. They just happen to work. AC is just available enough to where he has his own segment, and we working on something on Thursday. You know, I've been filling out Zuffa. You know what I'm saying? I don't really agree with it. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna do a segment about Zuffa Explained, where it's gonna be another Devil in Details, DITD, what we call it, featuring AC, where he just do his thing and he speak on it. You know what I'm saying? It's a spot because a lot of people have questions that need to be answered about Zuffa, and everybody, like, you know, they're tiptoeing around it and playing politics around it, and they don't want to fit in this, whatever. It's like, nah, we're gonna keep it all the way funky with you when it comes down to it. So I want to say, man, like, you got to watch the company you keep and the people that you keep around you, man. If it's somebody that you catch wind that's always starting some mess, always creating some bullshit, you know what I'm saying? Especially if it come around to me, Michael Rogers. Like, if you speaking bad on me and you haven't, like, contacted me and confirmed that came from me, you got to be like, well, why is this person trying to divide us? Why is this person trying to create this? Why do you feel this way about me? And you haven't even, like, taken it up with me. Because everybody that I had a problem with, I gave them time, ample opportunity, and more than enough chances to get this shit right before I say, you know what, you don't benefit me. And I'm not about drama at 46 years old. You know, I try to provide fresh water, keep it boxing, in an avenue. I put the link out. I tell you, I'm not going to mute you. I've been on channels where they say, oh, man, they complain about other people muting them and this and this and that. I provide a link, and I promise you, if you get up here, I'm not going to mute you. People be like, oh, you small potatoes, even though they take the talking points, they take the material, they piggyback off of what I say, they do, you know what I'm saying? All this other stuff, shit that I don't even care about right now. Why? Because it's like, hey, as long as the message is getting across, the message is getting across. That's all that matters at the end of the day. This is Fruits and Veggies, not that Reggie, that fact-based content, not opinion-based. We just wanted to put up some things about some fighters that in each division, from 126 to welterweight, to where they're not getting the credit they deserve. They're not getting the attention they deserve. People are not analyzing them, and we're going up against the media like a salmon swimming upstream when it comes to supporting these guys. And other than politics, you can't justify why, especially as a boxing purist or people that want to, you know, help the vitality of the sport and not kill it, as to why these guys are not getting their attention. Hopefully you was able to put something in your rucksack and march on, man. It was some jewels that was dropped. You know, I appreciate everybody that came through and supported in the building. I appreciate that super chat, Dev, man. You're a lifesaver, man. That means a lot, brother. I salute Crush. I salute Truth. I salute Honeybee, Quee. Who else? AJ. One of my day ones, man. He believed in me before everybody, even before a lot of people even got on to me. You know what I'm saying? Crush. Trini BX was in the building. Thomas Hill came through. Thomas, you gotta get on the panel at some point, man. You know what I'm saying? One Deep was in the building. Who else was in the building? Frontline came through. And Cookie Monster. My main Apple Scrapple. But I say, man, we always say, man, go where everybody know your name, and they always glad you came, and they always sing your praise, and then you come here and you hear what we got to say. More than likely, man, it's gonna actually get your wheels turning. It's gonna be thought provoking. It's gonna get your juices flowing. It's gonna get your critical thinking skills going. You know what I'm saying? And then you could take whatever we say over here over to the next boxing conversation. But we the type, man, we hear something, man, we're gonna give credit where credit is due. We're not gonna take it and act like it was ours and we came up with it and we did this, but like, man, start looking at Shu-Shu, Oshaki, Raymond Muratalla, Abdullah, Gary Antuanne, and Rolly. And then see how your favorite fighter is moving in comparison to how they moving and why they can't get fights and why the media is putting up so much push up against them. Is it because they PVC? Is it because the skills that they present might come along with an ass whooping? Is it because they're not part of the media, social media play, or they can't be controlled? Ask yourself that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know I could talk this boxing talk all day and all night. Anyways, thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Bodywork.